I'll call this Bang Bang.
Listen.
Seriously?
Oh, here we go. Fucking McDonough. Fucking McDonough. Fucking McDonough. Fucking McDonough.
Get fucked. Okay.
Fucking McDonough. Fucking McDonough. Fucking McDonough. Fucking McDonough. Listen, he's not my guy. Fucking McDonough. Fucking McDonough. But the thing is this, I'm a YouTube content creator. Trust me.
Fuck you, you piece of shit. Fuck you, you piece of shit.
Okay? Let me get these cash apps because these are important.
Fuck you, you piece of shit.
Okay?
Fuck you, you piece of shit.
Okay? Crazy Sean is history.
Welcome to the Weekend Live Show.
508 is where I'm from.
We run down the biggest stories of the week with you every Saturday night. Let us know in the comments right now where you reppin'.
Apache Junction, Taunton, Worcester, Long Island, Manchard, South Florida, Webster, Malden, Framingham, Tucson, Billerica, Salem, Gloucester, Moosop, Connecticut, Charleston, South Carolina, Roslindale, Moosop, Connecticut, London, Hanson, Glendale, Arizona, Lynn, Mapleville, Quincy.
Food stamps, leave your clothes, buddy, and hey, then we're screwing up the funny ass guy, man.
Have you ever heard of Turtleboy? Yeah? Are you a fan?
508 is where I'm from.
Hey, what's up?
508 is where I'm from.
How was that?
You a friggin' idiot. Stop telling people that I'm mentally deranged and stupid.
Call me Aidan. I'm not a doctor, but...
Get out of my store, please.
You're a fucking loser.
You are a loser.
You're not a journalist. You're nobody.
You're not turtle hair. Don't make such fun of the criminal justice system.
NFL on the house, blog that.
Let's get this party started.
And I will not be intimidated. I will not be silenced. And we will continue on our journey for justice for John O'Keefe and for Karen Reed.
Tick, tick, boom. Noise. Go, baby, we bringing out toys. Boys, chop up the singing, should be on the voice. Bang, bang, we gon' ride out. Gang, gang, we don't die out. Want it like this, ain't no timeouts. Tell me who really gon' find out.
We be disturbing the peace. Working, we serving the streets.
Karen Reed has supporters who've shown up in large numbers.
Tick, tick, boom.
Hard body, and not scaring nobody. You make me resort to wildin'. You must be blind by the diamonds. I didn't want it to be this way, but y'all won't need to try this. So it's no way around it. You the loudest one, it's going quiet. We be disturbing the peace. Working, we serving the streets. About to go going beast. Bang, bang, leave you sleep.
This is the first time I think I've ever seen this. An outpouring of support for someone accused of murdering a Boston police officer. Unbelievable situation. Never seen anything like it.
Tick, tick, boom.
You can't stop me, so who gon' stop me? You can't stop me, so who gon' stop me? You can't stop me, so who gon' stop me? You can't stop me, so who gon' stop me?
We be disturbing the peace. Working, we serving the streets. About to go going beast. Bang, bang, leave you sleep. It's go, 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 go time.
Tick, tick, boom.
What's up, everybody? How's everyone doing out there tonight? Good, good, excellent. I'm your very serious podcasting host, A.Timothy Kearney. I'm a really deep thinker. I take myself very seriously. I plan on writing all sorts of books with my best friend, Matt, who's also my lawyer and my manager. and we are going to take true crime to the next level. It's a really serious business, guys. No joking around. Victims matter. That's what I'm here for. We're here to get to the bottom of this, guys. We're here to solve the mystery of who killed John O'Keefe. And the only way to do that is to talk about Turtleboy and how mean he is to Jennifer McCabe. It's the only way. And in order to do that, I need to publish some audio about Turtleboy making jokes about fucking a cat. After we do that, after we listen to some Turtleboy light commentary about which four-legged animal he would, prefer to have sex with if given the choice, only then can we truly solve the mystery of who killed John O'Keefe. Victims matter, folks. Victims matter. And people like Turtleboy are not serious podcasters. They're not serious true crime people. They're self-published bloggers. So they don't count. So Turtleboy, as of this moment, is dead. He's dead. A.Timothy Kearney, the very serious podcaster, is the new game in town. No more joking around. No more jokes about having sex with animals. No more telling heroin dealers to kill themselves. Nothing like that. We will not go to any children's lacrosse games. We will not ask questions of witnesses. We will interview great thinkers like Plevin and Carrie Lama and other really serious people. And only then can we get to the bottom of who killed John O'Keefe. So, yes, we'll see. No, A.Timothy Kearney's whack. So anyway, hopefully you guys liked it. You guys like the wooded background here. It's really serious. And sorry about the lighting. The lighting's all messed up. I don't know what's going on with the lighting. But welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Turtleboy's back. My name's Aidan Kearney, A.Timothy Kearney. We're putting him on hold for now because it's Saturday night and we're here to have some fun and let loose a little bit. Not everything in life has to be all serious. See, that's the thing about it. It's you can do things. You can, walk and chew gum at the same time. I can investigate, expose corruption, write about stuff, real serious stuff. I can do that and make jokes. I don't know if you guys know that. You can do two things at once. It's called having a personality. So anyway, if you guys are new here, my name is Aidan Kearney. You can call me Clarence Woods Emerson if you'd like. That's my Facebook name. Follow me on there. You can call me Uncle Turtleboy. That's what old school turtle riders are known to do. You can call me, what else can you call me? Oh, Doctor. I prefer Doctor. That's my preferred pronoun. So if you see me in the streets, please call me Doctor. I'd graciously appreciate that because if Jill Biden gets to be a doctor, so do I. You can call me Daddy if you prefer. You might find that a little bit weird, but I will allow it. You can also added to the repertoire this week is A.Timothy Kearney. If you're real into the serious true crime business, and we can do with that. Will there be A.Timothy Kearney merch? I think there should be. It's a real serious business. I can't. Oh my God. I wish the people that came after me were like smarter and like wittier and like got jokes more. So many of these people are not getting it. Like, can we just go? We just got to check out some of their Twitters. Hold on. Like, all right. So there's this one guy, his name, I don't know. We could have a who's most obsessed with Turtleboy Olympics if you guys would like. I don't know who would win. Like some of these people, just the amount of time that they dedicate to me is just bizarre. I guess Krusty would probably win, followed by Fake Victim. But there's like a lot of others that just like this Julie Carpenter person, Big Red, as we call her. I mean, Big Red, I don't know her. I think she lives in Indiana, I'm told. She's brand new with the Karen Reed story. And the amount of time that the archives that she has, into reading old articles and bringing up old shows and getting all these clips, like that's a lot of man hours for somebody that you don't even know. And you didn't even know like the existence of me like a year ago. And now, every day of Big Red's life is just me. Like it's bizarre. But an underrated one is this guy, Gaffney. Okay. So this guy is, let's see, you're blocked. All right. We've blocked each other. Okay. So if you guys don't know about Gaffney, pretty sure he's closeted homosexual, which is great. But he basically, what was it? In 2015, when I first kind of was getting started, he was on the Worcester City Council. But yeah, he was an elected official. He's a lawyer. And I supported him because we have the same politics, right? And I helped get him elected back to the city council, except he got second place instead of sixth. He got sixth the last time. He got the last spot in the council, and I got him up to second. And he almost got elected mayor too. Like I did that. Like it was and he admits it. He's put it in writing. He's like, "There's no Michael Gaffney without Turtleboy." His words, not mine. And like, he worshiped me. Like there was no doubt about it. Like he would pay to advertise on my site. Like he loved Turtleboy because I supported his campaign for office. And then he got reelected and things got weird. Like I found out he was a big weirdo. And I'm like, yeah. And then in 2017, I didn't endorse him. Hold on, I'm gonna text. What does this say? Oh God, shows the wife's progression. Oh, I gotta see this. Oh, I wish I had these. Send on Facebook, and then I'll bring. Oh, I don't have to download them. Yeah. So anyway, we're gonna talk about Gaff a little bit here. So this guy, he announced in like October of 2017, a month before the election was coming up, that he was going to move to Florida or some shit. And we were like, what? I thought we had like a political movement going here. And he's like, no, nobody really appreciates me around here. I'm going to go and live my life. I'm so rich and going to go doing awesome things down there. And I mean, he's very arrogant, this guy, which is odd because he looks like the way his body is shaped. If you look at his legs, like they're chicken legs. Like he looks like a chicken. And he's kind of fat, but then he's constantly asking his wife to take videos of him lifting weights, which he then posts on social media and isn't the least bit embarrassed of it. Like it's just bizarre. Like the guy is fucking weird. And if you go to his Twitter, anyway, so like I wrote about him in 2017 and I said, I can't endorse this guy anymore. He's too weird. And at that point, Gaffney decided he got last place. He got last place in the election, dead last place, because his name was still on the ballot. He got last place. And he sued me. And he said that I cost him the election, an election that he had dropped out of, but his name was still on the ballot, and said it cost him the election. So he sued me for defamation. And he had moved to Florida or Texas or something by then. And he was still flying back here every other weekend to go to hearings that went nowhere. He deposed me. It was hilarious. And we ended up winning the lawsuit. It was dismissed. And most people would be thoroughly embarrassed by that, like suing somebody for defamation and then getting your ass handed to you in court. But Gaffney ever since then has just been obsessed with me. Like when I moved to Holden, he has, nothing but time on his hands. And I don't even know if he works or whatever, but he sent flyers out to every house in Holden. There's like 20,000 people live in Holden. Sent flyers out to every house in Holden saying like, this guy lives in your town. He's a deviant and, he's racist and all this stuff, like all these flyers, like it was wild. And then I ran for school committee and he did it again. And I wasn't going to win the school committee election anyway, because Holden is a really liberal town and I have the wrong politics. So I wasn't going to win that anyway. But he sent them out prior to the election. And a couple of people actually contacted me and were like, I wasn't going to vote for you before this, but fuck this guy. I'm voting for you now. So he probably gave me 50, 60 extra votes as a result of that. But it's just bizarre. And then he filed something. I didn't spend a single dime. I didn't raise a single dime when I ran for office, right? But I paid for some yard signs out of pocket, to vote for Aidan Kearney for school committee. And there was $500 I paid or something like that. And then he filed a complaint with the, I don't know if it was the OCP. He filed a complaint with whatever body regulates campaign finance. And keep in mind, I literally raised $0, and I just didn't fill out a form. And he's like, you didn't fill out the form. I mean, this is how little of a life this guy has. So I just contacted them okay, sorry about that. I filled out the form. Everything was fixed. We're all good. Okay. Hold on. What's this? The day. Okay. All right. Anyway, I don't know what that means. So this guy's obsessed, and he got really weird. I think ARCCA sent me. So this is the transformation of the gaff. I'll show you guys. So this is how he started off when he was running for office, right? And then, okay. I mean, respectable looking, I guess. Okay. That's, his wife, she's nice, I guess, not exactly now keep in mind too, the gaff had, talk about mistresses. This guy had, one chick who's a teacher who I knew, who he was hooking up with. And she apparently thought that they were going to be together. I don't fucking know, but he brought her to my court hearings. He brought the mistress and Kareen, that's the wife, to his court hearings with her. Now we've since heard from a couple of his, he's got a couple of girlfriends in Florida or something like that. And a couple of them have actually reached out to me and talked to us. And we could share those another time too. But anyway, here's the evolution of Kareen. There she is right there. And, and then it turned into this. And then it turned into this. And this. It's like an anime character. And this. So I guess, watching the evolution, it's just bizarre. Now you go on this guy's Twitter, and he's really mad about the MW Phelps thing, really triggered by it. See, we have the same politics, when you see it on here, but so they're really mad about this. So they don't get the joke. So I put this up yesterday. This is not I'm a really serious podcaster, a true crime podcaster. Because that's in case, if you have to explain a joke, it kind of ruins it. But I'm mocking Phelps here, because Phelps is not a serious podcaster. He thinks he is. He calls himself M. William. And he brags about how many books he sells, and it's a bootleg operation. It's him and Valentinus. They're scammers, and they're bad at their job. If you listen to the podcast, I'm not saying that because he's criticizing me. I don't give a fuck if he's criticizing me. But he pretended like he was going to do a podcast that was going to solve the mystery of who killed John O'Keefe and get to the bottom of it. And the whole thing, he's literally playing clips of me talking about fucking dogs and shit. It's bizarre. You would think Krusty Panties is the one behind it. It's just that juvenile. So anyway, I make this post. Phelps takes himself real seriously with those, professional headshots he gets and stuff like that. I couldn't do those without laughing. I'm laughing when I took these pictures. Right. And so we do our own little photo shoot. Obviously, I'm mocking him. And he's like, how many of these I'm Phelps little cuck photos is the little wood elf going to put up? So he thinks I'm like serious about this. It's as if I'm watching a 20-car pileup in super slow motion. It's a little bit of awesome, but getting tedious. Listen, Frodo, just bring the right to Mr. Doom, Mount Doom, and stop frolicking with Legolas. I don't even know what that means. Okay, so I don't know. So he's got like, so you go to, let's see. All right. Oh, he's got this one. He's mad about this one. Looks like Aidan Kearney and his side piece. So she's not a side piece, Gaff. Okay. She's my girlfriend, just to get it straight. Okay. You can't have a side piece if you're not married anymore. Just know that. All right. So, side piece was what the fake victim was, like your buddy. Like that's what a side piece was, right? This is actually much more serious. So this says here, is he going to wear his ex side piece's uniform? That's the little wood elf wearing a chick's mass state trooper uniform. His jealousy of the state police and Phelps is unbounded. So none of these people knew who Phelps was 5 minutes ago. Phelps owns the two of you. This is so embarrassingly funny. And Meredith, okay, right. His mom didn't want him. Leah said no, and Lindsay said hell no. Don't think so, but okay. Imagine simping for a dude no other chick wanted. Could you all stop creating conflict? So then he posts this. So he doesn't seem to get the joke. And yes, that is me in a state trooper outfit. That was former disgraced state trooper Leah Genduso's outfit that she didn't get to wear anymore because I took her job. Because I made sure she was fired. And then I took her uniform too, just because I could. So alpha male moves only, folks. But yeah, check out, if you want a trip, see his Twitter sometime. It's just the dude, I'm talking like 6-7 years ago where I wrote about this guy, and he can't get over it. Like, it's bizarre. But anyway, guys, make sure you give us a thumbs up, smash that subscribe button if you haven't already, and it'll be great. Okay, cool. Anyway, so what was I going to say here? Oh, if anyone wants to have their messages read out loud to the class tonight, you can click at the link at the top for Turtle Chat. You can give whatever amount of money you want, pay whatever amount of money you want, and then you write the message, and I will get the message, and I will read it out loud to the class. I see 3,600 people watching on YouTube. That's great. Give us a thumbs up if you haven't already. I see 146 likes. Let's get those up, folks. Helps with the algos, or so I'm told. But let's see if we have any so far. Okay. Is today the 7th? Yeah, it is. All right. Mark sends $10 and goes, why do Boston city councilors marry prison lifers? To my knowledge, only one of them has done that, in fairness. But why does Boston have like the most ratchet people possible? I don't know. That's another thing. Thank you very much. Dan sends $10, goes, can you do an old school Dono rap about Phelps and Valentinus? I'd have to write it beforehand, but I can definitely put that on my to-do list. Absolutely, Dan. Thank you. Dumpster Juice sends $11 and says, correction. It was about not fucking a cat. That's right. Free closet Frankie. Free the closet baby, Frankie, and the closet toddler. Maybe Frankie's in the closet now. I don't know. What's up, Frankie? How you doing, man? Long time no see. Give me a call, pal. I don't take anything you said personally. Don't worry about it. I still love you. All right. And yeah, what was I going to say about that? Yeah, exactly. I was talking about not fucking a cat. I was talking about fucking a horse first. If you listen to the whole clip, I'm like watching a Celtics game and I'm just joking around and shit. There was a story in the news that week about fucking a horse. Some guy fucked a horse, and it was in Norfolk, like the town of Norfolk. He fucked a horse, like no lie, fucked a horse. And the article wrote itself. But then I was like, fucking a horse seems like a lot of work, It's, would they even feel it? Like, they're big animals. You have to stand on a stool. What happens if it kicks you? And then I'm like, I wouldn't fuck a cat either, because a cat will scratch you and stuff like that. I'm like, most people would probably just fuck a dog, because it's like a doggy style, So joking around, kidding around. Phelps actually played that on his podcast about which is supposed to be about the murder of John O'Keefe, as some sort of example of something. I guess like don't take me seriously because this guy occasionally makes jokes about bestiality. So you can't listen to him at all. He's bad. Listen to Phelps. He's a much more serious person. He gets professionally done photos in wooded areas. He's a really serious guy. Yeah, and then he played the Raggedy Ann thing of me fucking Raggedy Ann. It's like, dude, it's turned into a troll podcast. Like literally, like it's just Plevin with a better microphone. That's all it is. So thank you very much for that one. Next up, the closet toddler, formerly known as Closet Baby Desimone. Okay, sends $20 and goes, you would think I was out of the closet by now, but alas, the struggle continues. I think I may need a standout one of these days. Free Turtleboy, free Karen, and for fuck's sake, lock up Morrissey. God willing. God willing will we do that. So thank you very much, Closet Toddler. Brittany sends $10 and says, hi, Turtleboy. Here is another thing that makes no sense. Why did all the taillight fly into the yard? Wouldn't some of it have spilled onto the street? That's a great logical question. Also, have Cosgrove ever responded to the LG accusation about Mike Crawford? No, he doesn't. He hasn't responded to anything pertaining to the fake victim because I don't know what he can say. And we're just getting started with that. So again, I'm surprised that the judge, wasn't the least bit like, yeah, this is problematic. Yeah. Deleted evidence and seek burner email accounts. What's going on with this? Yeah. And that's a good point about the taillight. Like, why is it only in the yard? And like I posted yesterday on Twitter, I posted this last night. The CERT team arrived at the house at 4:53. O'Hara does. And they put something out saying, we need anybody, all hands on deck. If anybody wants to come down there. And then a posse came down of some guys. We don't know who. 5:33 comes around. A message is sent from a guy named Sergeant Simpson. And Sergeant Simpson says, can we get started on this? And they said, no, we're waiting on the green light. The green light. Like, what were they waiting for? The car was towed at 4:15. We know that. So what were they waiting for? Why did they need a green light from where was Tully that he couldn't come and oversee this? What did they need? What were they waiting for? Or better yet, who were they waiting for? Who were they waiting to arrive? Which member of the posse were they waiting to show up and find some taillight? And like, how is that not a bigger deal that we don't know the names of every single cop who was at the scene collecting taillight that day? And more importantly, why don't we know the name of the cop who found the pieces of taillight? Like, that seems even more important. Who found the taillight? Like, do we know that? There was a bunch of cops there, right? Like, you didn't document which member of the CERT team found those things? Wouldn't that person testify? Like, the only member of the CERT team who testified was O'Hara. None of the others did. Like, we have no idea who else was there. Like, how is that okay? But again, wouldn't that be, what if one of them was named Kevin Albert? Just saying. Next up, Amy sends $100. $100, nice. And says, in such a good mood about the Detroit Lions and the Buckeyes not being in the Big Ten championship, I'm spreading the wealth. Absolutely. So I'm watching right now. I got Oregon, Penn State on. I like Penn State. I'm not going to lie. I went through a I hate Penn State phase back there in the paternal thing because they kind of didn't really give a shit about a whole bunch of child rape. And I'm still not completely over it, but I really like their uniforms. That's the thing about Penn State. And they're the closest thing that we have to like real football around here. Like BC doesn't count. UMass doesn't count. UConn, none of that shit counts. Right. Rutgers, I guess. It's like Penn State is the biggest football university close to us. And so like, I kind of want one of my kids to go to Penn State, like Penn State, Notre Dame, or UMass, one of those schools. That's where they need to go. So I definitely want Penn State to win this game. They never win the Big Ten ever. And now Oregon's in the Big Ten somehow. So Oregon's kicking their ass right now, but Penn State's driving. So we'll see. I mean, and yeah, my Michigan, Amy's a Michigander. Yeah. I mean, I have a shitload of Michiganders now. But yeah, because I love the Lions. The Lions are awesome, man. What are they, 12-1 now? They're unstoppable. Unstoppable. They're going to win the Super Bowl. It's going to be great. So, no, BC doesn't count, bro. Nobody likes BC around here. Like, the most popular college football state team in Massachusetts is Notre Dame. I'm telling you right now. Like, more people here like Notre Dame than like Boston College. Because Boston College kids suck. They all wear boat shoes and, khaki shorts and college shirt. Like, they're those kind of kids. Like, nobody likes BC kids at all. Nobody likes BC. So Grant went to BC. That tells you everything that you need to know. So yeah, go Nittany Lions. All right. And how about them Sun Devils? Yeah, that's go Arizona State. I mean, that's Mark Betteros undergrad school. You can get a good education, as it turns out, at Arizona State. Absolutely. Yeah, the Lions look great. The Buckeyes, fuck the Buckeyes. I mean, I never root for them. They suck. They're not going to. Notre Dame's winning the whole thing this year. We're doing it. We're going to win the tournament. We'll probably lose in the first round, watch. But this is one of those years where if Penn State loses this game tonight, Notre Dame's going to be number 2 team in the country because Texas just lost. So Notre Dame's going to be number 2. This would have been a great year for no playoff. We'd be in the championship game against Oregon. It would be fucking awesome. But alas, we have to go to a 12-team playoff now. Okay. She says, much love from Michigan. Hopefully you can take a big not guilty party for both you and Karen, and some of us from Michigan can make the trip out. When we get the not guilty, baby, we are going to have the biggest party. I was looking forward to it in July. Didn't happen. Bad attitude. It's happening. They're killed. They played no one, but they kick the shit out of them every week. George is not going to. They're going to be the 2 seed in the tournament. They're not going to be number 2 in the country, though. Stop it. Anyway, all right. So back to this. Let's see. Jennifer sends $50 and says, "Please join us tomorrow at the Star Drive-In in East Taunton for the FKR Family Holiday Vendor Craft Fair fundraiser from 5 to 8:30. There will be special treats, photos with Santa and friends, and a winter wonderland walkthrough." Yes, I plan on going as well to the Star Drive-In Theater in East Taunton, right near the Lakeville line, and definitely go down. And it'll be great. It'll be great. You guys will love it. And so I look forward to seeing some Turtle Riders there. Next up, we got $10 here from M. William Asshat O'Neill and says, "What is happening to Jen O'Donnell? Are we witnessing another Sean on the golf level psychotic break? She is behaving like a spoiled child, and it's embarrassing to the serious boots on the ground. It needs to stop." Again, I just read the donos, guys. This is not, I read what's put in front of me. Most of you probably don't even know who Jen O'Donnell is. And quite frankly, I prefer to keep it that way. She's nobody. But apparently she's pulling a Sean of the golf. She's very upset with me because, if she wants to get into it, we could get into it. But I don't think that does anybody any good when we do that. But she's like declaring war on me. She went on Tracy and Dana's channel last Sunday and decided to just pull a Sean of the golf, just rip all the content creators who support Karen Reed, and then just went nuts on me. And I was nothing but nice to this woman and supportive and did everything I can. And she decided to just declare war on me. Now, luckily it wasn't, I like Tracy and Dana, the great people. They've been supporting Karen Reed from the beginning. But she's kind of just using their platform to just bring drama, and there's no need for it. Now she says, and she's been messaging me, "Wait till you see what I'm going to say Sunday. Wait till you see." And I would just encourage, I would hope not. You know what I mean, Jen? We just got to chill out. It's not a big deal. It is what it is. I don't even know what you're mad about. But I don't think it does Karen Reed or John O'Keefe any good to kind of do that. You know what I mean? It's I don't think it does anyone any good at all. We got to get over the party thing. The who was invited, who wasn't. It's been 2 weeks now. We got to move on from that. You got to get over. I know you don't like BLT and Mike Crawford and whatever. Okay. But we just got to get over it all. We all got to be adults here and just focus on what's important, the movement and getting justice for John O'Keefe. And, I would hope that she's not given a platform to go and just decide to declare war on me or something like that, because that doesn't do anyone any good. Because, again, if you slander me, then I have to respond. And nobody wants that. I don't want to respond. I don't want to deal with this woman. I think we should all just move. Like, most of you watching are like, who the fuck is Jennifer O'Donnell? And why do I care about anything she says? Exactly. Like, who cares? Next. All right. Thank you. Ida Han Udaho. Oh, no, this is from the other day. Okay, cool. Let me just refresh this real quick. Laura sends $5 and says, turtle chats are not pinned in the chat. Is that true? Yeah, it's pinned. It's pinned right at the top. Thank you. Says turtle chats are not pinned at the top. I cannot wait for part 3 of The Glare with Hannibal and Monty. Please join their live on Wednesday. They are going to do the Raggedy Ann bit that you did. Are they really? Oh, I got to see that. So thank you very much for that. Jason Broyles sends $10 and says, not Haley Walbricht is a moron who never knows what time it is. Sincerely, Haley Walbricht. Okay. Thank you very much. Karen sends $25 and goes, Turtleboy, I so appreciate your optimism about the wins from your most recent court date. However, watching the stream last week, it has the appearance of corruption. Truly like the scales are tipped and the trial hasn't started. As a previous resident of Boston, I feel ashamed. And in all seriousness, is there anything we can do to put a stop to this? Are you talking about the Karen case or mine? But I don't really understand the question. But yeah, I mean, I'm not that worried about it. Just understand that the story will have a happy ending. How happy, we don't know. I won't be fully happy until the people who covered this all up are arrested. Like, if this ends up with like Jennifer McCabe walking free and, Karen Reed being not guilty, to me, that's only half a win. I'll be very happy with a Karen Reed win. And my own, of course. But I'm going to need a little bit more than that. I'm going to need a little bit more than that to be completely happy. Oh, I bet you do, Rachel. I bet you do. Thank you. All right, next up. M-Job sends $10 and goes, A.Timothy Kearney merch needs ASAP. I think we can get on that. Thank you. Ryan sends $5 and goes, no way JLR shows up again after the way Jen O'Donnell got in his face last time. He got real quiet real quick. Oh, that's right. Yeah, she did get in this face. See, that's why it's like I don't need her to go. Like, there's no need for that. We're all on the same team here. You know what I mean? We're all on the same team. So, yeah, JLR is like, what a pussy that guy is. I am very disappointed in him, quite frankly. I scared him off after one day. That's all it took. He showed up, and he's like one of these guys who tries to be Turtleboy, like shows up and like gets in your face and puts a camera and it's like, do you have any comment or questions? And I'm like, oh yeah, I do. I have lots of comments. Like, I have a lot of things to, like, he thought I would be like, leave me alone, go away. Like, that's the reaction they're looking for. I'm like, so I just kept calling him Prison Boy because he's been to jail for like 10 years he's a scam artist. And I'm like, Prison Boy, prison bitch. And I just yelled at him and mocked him. And he disappeared. His bitch, he came to my house, my old house, actually, and filmed himself outside of my house for 10 minutes, my old house, and just sat there. And that's it. So like, and then that was the end of it. I'm like, this is all this guy has. This guy is supposed to be like this ultimate troll, whatever. And he's supposed to be nuts. And this is all he did. Motherfucker gave up after one day. He tapped out. JLR, where are you, brother? Where are you? Why are you such a pussy, dude? I thought you were better than this. I thought you were a better troll than this. I thought you were going to give me more challenge than this. I punked you down after one day, and I call you out on Twitter, and you got nothing to say. Oh, might have to audit you, my friend, because you seem a little scared, JLR. It seemed like you thought that you could out crazy me, but you couldn't do it, could you? You couldn't do it. Thank you. All right, next up. Mark sends, I think we got that one. Okay, let me check my my turtle chats here. Oh, Penn State's about to score. That's a touchdown. That's a touchdown. Give him that. That's a touchdown. Man, it's still the first half. Holy shit. All right. We have here, Christine sends $30 and goes, can you give a shout out to my mom, Susan, and a prayer? Absolutely. Shout out to Susan. We love you. And absolutely. And also shout out to I had a cheering competition today in Springfield. My daughter did, and met a whole bunch of Turtle Riders there. These cheering competitions are insane, dude. Oh my God. My son and I, we just go just to watch her, and then we leave because it is too much, dude. It's like, don't get me started on cheering. To all the money it costs. And, at these competitions too, it's like, I don't know what the hell's going on. I don't know who's winning. Like there's a million girls there and they're all cheering. And it seems like everybody wins when they do awards at the end. They're like in 5th place, blah, blah, blah. And then the girls all stand up. We got 5th place. We got 5th place. They're so happy. And then they just go down the line. Like everybody wins. And so my daughter's team goes, there's 27 girls on the team. Okay. That's a lot of fucking girls. And then they do great. And I'm like, that was awesome. That was so cool. That was a great job. I don't know what's good or not. I'm like, nobody fell, right? No, that's good. No, there are no major collapses. So we won, right? Like we're the champions now. Not so fast. I don't even know who we're going against. The girl, it turns out we're only going against one other team. And they're going like an hour and a half later. So I don't even see them. And then later on, I'm finding out, okay, so how do we do? Oh, we got 2nd place out of how many? 2. Oh. So there was a deduction. I don't know what that means. And it's just like, I don't know. It's cheering. It could be a sport. It has sport potential because it's like organized gymnastics kind of, and it takes a lot of work and a lot of athleticism and it's cool to watch. Right. So it could be a sport, but you gotta there needs to be a scoreboard or something. Like, I don't know who the fuck's going against. Like sports have scoreboards. Sports have exciting element to it. And this is just like, I don't know, not a fan. All right, cool. Next up. What's this? What are people sending me? You got a show. Is that really him? Holy shit. Sent me what? Hold on. Oh, the Proctor pick is real. Oh my gosh. I got it. Send it on Facebook Messenger if you can. All right. Wow. All right. Next up on the Cash App here, we have Cynthia sends $5 and says, I love your content, supporting you and Karen Reed. Well, thank you very much, Cynthia. Appreciate your support. I like my content too. Thank you very much. Next up, Rachel sends $5, says, putting out a rap album on Spotify to outdo M. William Phelps. I might have to. Thank you. Zelda sends $20 and says, we are here after my stream and all dance to your intro. Nice. Good job. Thank you very much, Zelda. Thank you. Mark sends $7, goes, Fonzie called. He wants his leather jacket back. Yeah, we got this at the Goodwill just to troll him. I swear to God. So thank you very much for that. Chad sends $14 and says, for more glamour shots. I didn't know those would be such a big hit. So apparently Proctor, we found it. Proctor is hiding. He is changing his look. And a bunch of people are sending me the picture now of him. Hold on. All right, we got it. Have you guys seen this picture of the new Proctor? This is wild. There he is. This is Proctor, dude. Look at this motherfucker. He's he's hiding. He's hiding. I can get rid of her comment. But I mean, look at him. This is actually him. That's wild, dude. I didn't even recognize him at first. Not gonna lie. With the beard. I mean, it's a good disguise. I guess that's what you have to do if you're him. I love how this one tries to pretend that life is normal. Like, we cannot forget how horrible a person Elizabeth Proctor is. Just the biggest piece of shit. And boy, when this is all said and done, Elizabeth Proctor, ooh. And you're not going to be able to hide behind all this witness intimidation nonsense anymore. And boy, girl, ooh. Because, if you guys are unfamiliar with this beaut, boy. So she, back in the day, back in May of 2023, she decided that she was going to call the work. This is back after her husband was exposed as being a scummy cop. She decided that she was monitoring the Facebook comments, and she started just clicking on everyone's account that said negative things about her husband, which was a lot of people. And then she would look them up and find out where they work and then call their boss and try to have them fired. This was her thing. And then so I wrote about it. And I said, here's her company's Facebook page, Instrom. Here's her Twitter account. If you'd like to share your thoughts on her, here's their phone number. Since she did it to you guys, maybe if you do it to her. And when I did it, I'm charged with felony witness intimidation, which is like, honestly, I'm kind of glad because nothing exposes the unconstitutional nature more of this law more than what Elizabeth Proctor did, because it wasn't illegal when she did it to other people, but it was illegal when I did it because she's not even a witness. She's a family member of a witness, although he's not really a witness anymore, is he? Because I don't think he's going to be testifying in the next trial. And if Instrom, again, I haven't brought it up since I was indicted, right? But if Instrom wants to hire somebody like this, especially not, and she pretends life is normal. Like when the reporter came to her door and she was like, I support my husband. Karen Reed's a murderer. It's like, nobody believes that. Like, we all heard your husband was looking for naked pictures of another woman. Oh my God. She wants to be a cop's wife so bad. Like, her entire goal was in life, was just to suck cop dick. That's it. Her dad's an FBI agent. Her brother is a Belmont cop who has responded to Grant Smith Ellis' house several times. Actually, I think I don't know if he was there for the dollhouse incident when Grant broke the dollhouse, but she went to the same high school as Grande. They were a year apart in high school. And she just wants to be a trooper's wife so badly, because when you're a trooper's wife, then you can just be a bully, then you can be like, I'm a cop. My husband's a cop. She loves saying that. And so she's willing to put up with the man who has to testify that he's looking for naked pictures of a woman who he claims is a murderer. And that's okay with her. She stays with him for that, just so she could take pictures of this and be like, we're a happy family. Look at us. We're so happy. Yeah. Your husband is the biggest scumbag known to mankind, and everyone knows it. Everyone, like everywhere you guys go, Elizabeth Proctor, everywhere you guys go, people are pointing that out. Like, oh, there's that scumbag cop and the whore that stays with him so that she can be a cop's wife. That's all. And they're looking at your kids and they're being like, those poor kids. Hopefully Turtleboy can teach them to throw a spiral if and when Michael Proctor goes to federal prison where he belongs for the rest of his life. Although I'm convinced at this point that Michael Morrissey is the target. The more and more I think about this, guys, the federal investigation is not going anywhere. There's no fucking way. And we can get to that with the Tania Fernandes Anderson thing. Actually, let's just jump right into that, shall we? Let's see. Okay, so a Boston City Councillor by the name of Tania Fernandes Anderson, who is like the Boston Globe loved this woman because she wears a head thing, and she's a Muslim woman, and she's a former illegal immigrant from Cape Verde or Verde, however you pronounce it, and was on welfare her whole life, like just a complete scum, like sucking off the system, right? And uses identity politics, constantly pretending she's the victim because, talking, the only thing she could talk about is I'm black and I'm Muslim and I'm mad. I'm so mad about everything. That I'm so mad. I'm angry. And yeah. And this was during a city council meeting. This was in July, I believe, of 2022. This was back when there was another city councilor named Ricardo Arroyo who was running for district attorney, and he was like, very woke and progressive, and he had that fringe part of the party that was going to support him. He was going against Kevin Hayden, who ends up becoming district attorney of Suffolk County, who was more centrist, I guess you would say, less radical, but Arroyo had all the endorsements. He had Ayanna Pressley, Elizabeth Warren, Ed Markey, like all the bigwigs supported Arroyo. And then it came out that 2 women claimed that he sexually assaulted them when they were in high school. And it was in the Globe, and at least one of them was verified. And, it was a bad look. And Presley and all these other people, they were all like, we can't have anything to do with this guy, and they all rescinded their endorsements except for this one and Kendra Lara, who's another trash bag. Kendra Lara is not the people like, is this the one who made a sex tape with their kid in the room? Is that the Boston City Councilor? No. That's the other Boston City Councilor. Actually, there's another one. There's Kendra Lara made a sex tape with her kid in the room who was 5, and then she got arrested for driving like 50 miles an hour, or not arrested. She crashed into she was driving without a license for like 10 years and just crashed into a house, and she's scamming the system, living in housing that she no longer qualifies for because she voted her to give herself a big raise, whatever. So anyway, they all rescinded their endorsement of Arroyo. And then, except for these 2. So these 2 bring this army of Roxbury Rugrats with them to City Hall. And she's going to play to the crowd here. And this is what she said. I mean, listen to this shit.
You will lose your seat. They won't vote for you. Fight. Don't fight. What the fuck do I have to do in this fucking council in order to get respect as a down? You will lose.
She goes, in order to get respect as a black woman. What the fuck do I have to do? Maybe not talk like that? I don't know. Listen to this.
Everyone is redeemable. I look forward to working together with you. Don't cut for me, because if you want smoke, you'll get smoke.
The fuck is it so ratchet? If you want, don't come for me, because if you want smoke, you get smoke. And then a riot happened. People are fighting outside the council. All right, so that's Boston. Now, what no media outlet to this day reported, a story I broke years ago, this woman's husband is named Tasmanian Anderson, and she married him 10 years into a life sentence for murder. She married him while he was in jail for murdering some immigrant dude. They set him up and they robbed him. And I think they got like $43 out of it. And he's serving a life sentence for murder. And she married him while, these are their wedding photos, at Shirley Mack's prison. Like, what the fuck? So anyway, she was involved in, so she's a complete ratchet. And she was arrested by the FBI on Thursday or Friday. Maybe it was Friday, right early in the morning. That's how the feds do. They just show up at your house. And she comes walking out of her house with her hands up. I don't know if the perp walk video I have on there. But yeah, she came out with her hands up. Maybe a little bit overdone. I think she would have, I don't think she, again, they came to my house too. So fuck her. She can do the perp walk too. But anyway, it's a really ratchet thing. So first of all, she was assessed a $5,000 penalty like in 2023 by the State Ethics Commission because she hired her brother and her sister, I think, I don't even know, and immediately gave them like a $20,000 raise or something. So it's like a big no-no. You can't do that. And she did it like within a year of getting elected. So she was assessed a fine by the State Ethics Committee, and they knew she was watching. And this obviously put her on the radar for the feds. All right. And she forced all of her staff members to sign NDAs, which is shady. She hired a staff member who was related to her in 2022 and paid them a $65,000 salary plus bonuses. But then she cut a deal with the relative so that they would have to kick back $7,000 to her as part of the deal. Okay. Now she lied in this email, as you can see here, this email they sent. She says, "Hi, I hope you are well. I'm very pleased to announce that this relative, for the record, is not related to me, and they will join my office making 65 grand a year." So she lied when she said that. And then obviously the relative started working with the feds, and they found out that she was not paying rent or car payments. And so I go on and I'm like, how much rent does she owe? $21,000 she owes. Okay. In rent. She's just not paying her rent. And this is after they negotiated that like her rent was decreased $400 a month so that she could begin to pay off the debt that she owed. This is a city councillor who's making six figures a year and can't pay her fucking rent. She's got no dependent children. Like, what is her excuse? All right. And she got all sorts of other delinquent bills, whatever. So as it turns out, she was desperate for cash. So she told this relative of hers, "Look I'm going to give you a $13,000 bonus. It's only like $10,500 after taxes. And you're going to give me $7,000 back cash." Okay. And where are you going to give me the $7,000? City Hall bathroom, of course. Like, first of all, you're going to go and withdraw this. So look at these withdrawals, 3,000, 3,000, and 4,000, right? And she got 7 of that. So first of all, that's how you get snitched on, Tanya. That's how you get snitched on. You can't get 70% kickback. Like, you got to get like 20%. Like 70%, what happens when they get caught? They're going to be like, "This motherfucker robbed me." That's a lot. That's a lot. Do you even do corruption the right way? Like, act like you've been there before. So she gives her this cash, and in the bathroom of all places, which is just so good. I mean, you couldn't meet her anywhere else except for the City Hall bathroom. I mean, why City Hall? Why there? Why not just anywhere else? Like in Franklin Park? I don't fucking know. Your house. Who cares? They get the City Hall bathroom. It had to be done that way. So they get her on this, and I'm like, that's it? And she's facing like 100 years in jail for this. Now, she ain't going to get that. And even I think that's like a little bit excessive, But the feds think of what they're doing here for this woman, right? $7,000. That's what this is over. They're bringing her out, giving her the perp walk. Think of what they would do with something like covering up a murder. Think about that. Now, also understand that this took place 18 months ago. Okay. This took place 18 months ago was the final payment in the bathroom. So It took them 18 months to come up with this indictment and arrest of something that's relatively simple, relatively simple. So that gives me hope that with John O'Keefe and Karen Reed, they're not going to stop, dude. And I really, truly believe that Michael Morrissey is the target the more I think about it. It has to be Michael Morrissey. Michael Morrissey hates them. And he is determined to get a conviction out of this to spite the feds. And that is why he brought on Hank Brennan. That's why he brought him on. Because Hank Brennan made his bones with Whitey Bulger accusing the federal government of being corrupt. And so I think he's like, well, this guy's got a bone to pick with the feds. I hate the feds. I'm going to bring on Hank Brennan. I think that's why he's got Hanky Spanky on. And the shit that Hanky Spanky is doing now, trying to get Marie Russell, Dr. Marie Russell, not letting her testify. He's going to try it with other witnesses. I mean, she only had 6 witnesses. It's going to be hard to say Lucky Loughran can't testify. That's going to be difficult. But they're going to try it like with the ARCCA people. It, right? They're going to try it like they tried it the last thing. They did a voir dire. Remember those guys had to fly up and prove their worthiness, and they did with Dr. Marie Russell, and now they got to do it again? Come on. Were they not sufficient the first time? So I don't know. We'll see. Nothing like that has happened unless I missed something. I haven't seen anything like that happen with the ARCCA people or anything, but with the ARCCA this time around, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight. There need to be no limits with this. Like they need to be able to talk about the feds hired us, and the jury has to be made aware of this. The jury has to be made aware of this. So, okay. All right. Let's see here. So that's the Tania Fernandes Anderson thing. I'm optimistic about that. I think that's good news, I think, for Karen Reed and for John O'Keefe and Justice and all that. Okay. Let's see. Do we have any more Cash Apps I was reading here? Let's see. Because this was going off. All right. Or maybe not. I thought it went off. All right. Let me just hit the turtle chat here, and then we'll get started with what else I was going to talk about. Colm sends $10 and goes, listening from Ireland. I love your show and your humor. It's so clear you're Irish. I am. Do you know A. Kearney wrote the Irish national anthem, a soldier song? Listen to it in English. It's a great song. I did not know that. P.S. Like the guy in Braveheart, I speak for the whole of Ireland. We support Turtleboy and Karen Reed. It's my island. It's my island. Yes. Thank you very much, Colm. Appreciate that. Kerry sends $10. Goes, you literally make my night and have me crying laughing. Oh, nice. I've had to stay up to watch your live from the United Kingdom. I admire your dedication and the way you fight for the truth. Keep up the good work. And in my opinion, Meredith is a wonderful woman. My opinion too. So what are the odds of that? Thank you. Fuck Phelpsy. What an actual tool. Thank you very much, Kerry. I agree with everything you said. Appreciate it. Christy sends $5 and says, Lurker here. Hear me out. Can Krusty and the Mass Trolls be brought up on RICO charges? No. They have a name. They are organized and they collude to break laws. It's a federal crime. Perhaps that would be a Josh Levy call. I don't think Josh Levy gives a fuck enough about her. Ask Bettero. I have more thoughts. I may keep sending. Keep up the good fight. Thank you very much, Christy. Catherine sends $50 and goes, twists will be twits. Love that leather jacket. Well, thank you very much, Catherine. Courtney sends $5 and says, don't miss Melanie Little show tomorrow night, breaking down the 34 Fairview Road podcast and the negative implications it could have for the Commonwealth in the Karen Reed case and in your case. I cannot wait, and much love from Tennessee. You're a Tennessee Turtle Rider? I didn't know that, Courtney. Thank you. But yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing Melanie Little's take on that. Really interested in hearing that. So thank you very much, Courtney. Christy sends $10 and goes, do you know if Karen and her team are going to utilize the small courtroom again for her retrial? I personally think it was a bad idea to use it in the first trial. Yeah, because you couldn't get in. I don't, they did it because it wasn't a stunt they were pulling, because you really can't see the juror's face. You really can't see the witnesses' faces if you're in the last 6 seats of the jury. You can't see them. And this is like one of those trials where you really need to see the witnesses' faces to see if they're lying, So, yeah, I don't think it was a mistake. It was a mistake, and then it was tough to find the seating in there. That sucked. But, that whole freaking courthouse just needs a makeover. It's got a lot of potential. It's got the golden dome at the top. And in the main courtroom, all you have to do is just switch. You take where the media sits and you put that where the jury is, and then you move the jury over where the media sits, and then they can see the witness, and it's no problem. Just done. I don't know why they just don't do that. And then you take the 2 desks in every courtroom, except in every courtroom in that courthouse, the prosecution sits in front of the defense. Every single one. You could just take that table back and move it over here and kind of kitty corner it, angle it, and have them sitting like that. It'd be so simple. I don't get what the problem is there. But anyway, so thank you for that one. Yeah, so we'll see if they do it again. I'm assuming they're going to make the same issue they did last time, but we'll find out. If anyone else wants their message read, you can click at the link at the top for Turtle Chat, or you can cash at me at $Uncle Turtleboy. All right, cool. Before we go any further, let me just bring some up there. Daily News, Bukkake. So you remember this guy's been showing up at various people's houses, harassing them.
And think about the information that's being, shared with you. All right?
See,
So am I right or am I wrong about you learning that on the internet?
How is this real?
Actual people that lost their jobs.
Somebody lost their job, actually.
Absolutely.
And they said that to you in person, or was it on the internet?
Why do you want me to say it was on the internet?
Because I'm asking where you learned this information from.
I think you know.
I don't know. That's why I'm talking. Again, if I knew stuff, I would just write a report because I already know it, and I wouldn't waste my time talking to you.
All right.
I'm asking, did you learn this stuff on the internet, social media, on some sort of platform, or was it in
oh my God, this dude. So this dude, this dude was going around to anybody who sent a message to Jennifer McCabe on Facebook or Colin Albert, and was just asking them questions, showing up at their house like this, he's Mr. Badass. I'm a real cop, right? Oh yeah. Oh, what losers. And again, these people or how about if there were others too? What's this one? 2 women harassed by Yuri Buchanan are facing criminal charges. Yeah. Oh, then there's a vet. There was a vet too. Remember a vet? She was great.
Bye. See you later. Thanks for your time. Get off my street. Leave. Enjoy jail. You're going. Bye-bye. Okay. Bye. Leave.
You're going. Yes.
Leave. Fucking serious?
Oh,
are you serious?
Oh.
Bye. Get out.
Take care.
Yep. See you later.
Have a good day.
Yeah. You too. Enjoy prison. You too. Bye. Are you fucking
This lady's awesome. I love Yvette. She's amazing. Enjoy jail. Enjoy it. So all those people and many more got summons to go and they had criminal complaints filed against them by the police. Now, how this works is you're not charged just because the cops file a criminal complaint. It's supposed to go in front of a magistrate, and a clerk magistrate decides if there's probable cause. The standard for that's pretty low, so you almost always get charged. If a cop brings it in front of a clerk, the cops know the law, so they know that, like, they know what's going to work and what's not going to work. And so they decide that they're going to bring this in front of the police. Hold on one sec. I got to grab a charger real quick. Hold on. I'm running out of juice. Give me 1 sec. Hold on. All right, we're back. Sorry about that. All right, we're good. So anyway, they never, like, when you bring charges like this, it's unheard of for them not to make it past the clerk, because the cops know the law. They know the basics of the law, and they know what's illegal and what's not. And they're not going to waste their time, writing reports, doing an investigation if it's not going to lead to charges. So think of all the time that Bukkake spent into this, driving all around the state, harassing these women, all women, except for one guy that got a visit too. But other than that, it was all chicks, doing rubber ducky investigations, pulling up surveillance, talking to witnesses, going to the mom's house, all this shit. One mother got charged with her daughter because they went out and they dropped 2 rubber duckies. I don't even think the mother did. I think she was just an accomplice to rubber duckies. So all these people got brought in for a criminal complaint hearing. And some of them went with attorney Bill Gens, who's great. And some of them went with my attorney, Timothy Bradel, which is great. And now they all have one thing in common. None of them were charged. They all went in front of a clerk magistrate who was a McAlbert supporter and was like, nope, I can't charge him. There's no probable cause here. All of them. They not one of them got any sort of charges put on them. None. So it's like it never happened. And these idiots like Twisted Tragedies and other people are like, oh yeah, they took a quaff. No. You can't take a quaff if you're not charged with something in the first place. Quaffs are for people who are charged with crimes. The Bukkake bunches we're calling them, none of them have been charged. It's like it never happened. There was no charge. So these people, it's like, no. I mean, think of how many hours Bukkake wasted getting paid by the taxpayers to do this and couldn't even get a simple charge out of it. So there's that. There's that. All right, cool. So yeah, congratulations to the Bukkake bunch. You guys beat the odds. Great job. Okay, cool. Next thing I want to talk about. What else? Oh, Coffindaffer, I guess. Did you guys see this? So there was this guy. You guys probably saw it on the news. The United Healthcare CEO got shot and murdered in broad daylight. Not broad daylight, just in the middle of New York City. Definitely like not necessarily a professional assassin, but clearly planned. And, I'm kind of like, it's kind of disgusting to see, in my opinion, all the things on Twitter from people are saying about like, oh, he deserved it and this and that. Good. It's like, what? Good? never is it okay in broad day. I get it. Healthcare companies, the rich people are bad and healthcare companies are bad. And I get it. Okay. That doesn't mean you can just go around shooting people in the middle of New York City. Like ever. And whoever did that is a gigantic piece of shit. And I hope they're locked up in jail for the rest of their life. I do. But the fact that they haven't been caught yet is wild. Anyway, yeah, he's still a father with 2 kids. It's people died because of him. Calm down. Okay. It's not just him. Okay. I don't know how that works. You know, people like he stole $50 million from me. Wait, who did? Who stole $15 million? What? Yeah, the hateful celebration is wild. They have a name? Who's the name? I did not know. The CEO is the real criminal, except he's not, though. That's the thing about it. I mean, he's not, or else he would be charged with a crime. I get it. We don't like rich people. They're all bad. I get it. And healthcare companies are bad. I like John Q too. It was a great movie. I liked it. You can't go around doing that. Anyway, Coffindaffer had some things to say, apparently. Let's bring up her tweet here. Now, I admittedly have not been following this much. So this is a tweet she has since deleted. And she said, I just asked a former colleague at the FBI, the master of digital forensic analysis and behavior, now retired, to examine this footage and assess whether it is AI. So first of all, why didn't she ask this, who I'm sure this person is very real, just like Eddie Richards. I'm sure this person at the FBI, why didn't she ask them to do the Google search and determine if that was real? Okay. He said, no, it is not AI. He also took some stills for me, which show interesting rings on the killer's fingers. Thank you to my friend for your assessment. On a side note, quite an androgynous look. This is the killer of Brian Thompson in action. Lip readers, please let us know what you say. So she's saying this is not AI. So I'm guessing it is AI, I'm guessing.
Hey guys, I'm a professional graphic artist and I wrote a prompt using artificial intelligence to engineer a video using the photo that we got of the killer for the CEO, Brian Thompson. And this is what it came up with. If you guys can help me share this with the NYPD and anybody who's involved and see if the witness could recognize this person's face head on and see if this can help. There's a lot of new technology out there that we can use to our disposal, and I hope this could do something positive.
So it is AI. Okay. This is clearly AI. Indicators are the jacket's pockets seemingly morph into the jacket. The individual's movements are extremely smooth and fluid. Right. Okay. So all these people respond. Apparently Coffindaffer got caught. You know, instead of just taking the L, she did what she always does and like tried to prove that she's smarter than everyone else. Video professional here. The video is AI generated, likely real stills because the scan lines remain constant. Okay. Thank you for weighing in. My friend, who's very real, ran it through 2 separate programs. I know many are skeptical. He said the assurity is 92%, which indicates not a fake. What software do you use to determine the fake videos? Thank you. Okay. It's AI. Hi. I was not sure, so I asked an expert. I believe them. Yeah, right. They have the tools. She's just making this up. She's just making it up. Okay. So clearly, yeah. All right, cool. All right. So without further ado, so what I wanted to get to tonight, I wanted to go over the ARCCA shit, right? And I've been meaning to do this for a while because that testimony, right, is going to, like, that's it. Whenever I hear about like what else? They talk about, Higgins messages, or did she call her parents at 1:15? Did she go back to the scene at 5:30? Why did she do this? Did she really hit John's Traverse? Did she plan the whole thing? But okay, none of that matters. Literally none of it matters if science says that John O'Keefe didn't get run over by a car. None of it matters at all. So we need to rewatch. And so I've kind of clipped some stuff from the ARCCA testimony, and I want to compare it to Joe Paul, right? Actually, I did this little mashup. Let me share my mashup that I did on YouTube the other day. I had some fun with this. Just about their educational background. All right.
What education training background qualifies you to perform the duties that you've just described for the jury?
Back in 2012, I received a Bachelor of Science in Engineering from James Madison University, along with a minor in mathematics. Some of my courses while at JMU included courses in physics, statics, dynamics, kinematics, material science, along with your other engineering sciences.
That's good.
Subsequent to my undergraduate degree, I then went on to the University of Delaware to pursue my PhD in electrical and computer engineering with a concentration in electromagnetics and photonics.
Oh, big deal. Big deal.
What additional training or experience do you have as it relates to accident reconstruction in addition to the formal education and the PhD?
Certainly. So in addition to my undergraduate degree and my PhD, I've continued to take courses through Northwestern University in crash reconstruction. So those courses have included human factors, lighting. I've taken courses
quit showing off.
Vehicle data, photogrammetry, three-dimensional laser scanning. So I've continued to take courses subsequent to graduating.
Do you hold any degrees in the scientific discipline of mathematics?
I do not.
Do you hold any degrees in the scientific discipline of physics?
I do not.
Hold any degrees in the scientific discipline of biomechanics?
No.
How about in engineering?
No.
How about in kinematics?
No.
What's the highest degree that you do hold, sir?
I have an associate's degree.
In what?
Administration of justice.
You mentioned kinematics on Friday. Do you hold any certificates in the area of kinematics?
Yes, it's covered in the basic crash investigation classes.
Okay, so you took a class, in other words, correct?
You took a class.
Multiple classes.
Can you tell us what
Multiple
educational
classes.
background qualifies you to perform your duties as the director for biomechanics and human factors?
Sure. Well, I got my BS in mechanical engineering with a minor in biomedical engineering from Carnegie Mellon University in 1995. I then went on to get my master's in bioengineering and biomechanical engineering from the University of Pittsburgh in 2002. And then I went to get my doctorate or my PhD in bioengineering and biomechanics from the University of Pittsburgh in 2004.
What's the highest degree that you do hold, sir?
I have an associate's degree.
Received a Bachelor of Science in Engineering from James Madison University, along with a minor in mathematics.
Do you hold any degrees in the scientific discipline of mathematics?
I do not.
Do you hold any degrees in the scientific discipline of physics?
No.
I do not.
Hold any degrees in the scientific discipline of biomechanics?
No.
How about in engineering?
No.
How about in kinematics?
No.
I got my BS in mechanical engineering with a minor in biomedical engineering from Carnegie Mellon University. Then went on to get my master's in bioengineering and biomechanical engineering from the University of Pittsburgh in 2002. And then I went to get my doctorate or my PhD in bioengineering and biomechanics.
What does kinematics mean?
So kinematics is really just the motion of the human body. And it's the study of the human body, how the body moves under different circumstances, whether you're in a car that's struck from behind, what direction will your body move, slip and fall, how will your body rotate and move. It's really looking at the motion and the response of the body.
Define kinematics.
It deals with the aspect of motion.
It's a subfield of what broader field?
Kinematics?
Kinematics is a subfield of what broader discipline of science?
I'm not sure.
I'm fucking physics, yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Describes how points and objects, systems of objects, how they move, and how the rate they move and the rate of their velocity, correct?
It deals with the motions.
What's that called? The rate of velocity. What's another word for that?
Acceleration.
The rate of velocity?
Acceleration.
I mean, it deals with motion. It deals with forward and also deals with speed. It deals with travel and speed.
What?
If something's moving, it also has a speed to it.
Right.
What?
What looking for is acceleration, correct?
Sure.
She's like, I knew that. I knew it.
Acceleration play.
Knew it.
What role does
I don't.
what role does acceleration play with different kinematics? Talks about, like you just said, talks about the speed and talks about motion.
It deals with motion.
Kinematics, also known as the geometry of motion.
Oh.
Is that correct?
I have not heard that.
Never heard that.
Never heard that.
What's the difference between constrained and unconstrained motion?
Oh, this is good.
Constrained and unconstrained motion?
Here we go. Here we go. Watch this. Watch this.
Constrained motion.
Look at him. Look at him.
I can't recollect at the moment.
I can't recollect.
Oh, no. Constrained motion is motion on a predetermined path, isn't it?
Yes.
Unconstrained motion is what?
When it doesn't have a predetermined path?
Free movement, correct?
Correct.
So you remember that from your class?
Two classes.
We don't go that constrained and unconstrained.
Yeah, we don't do that.
Constrained and unconstrained, not restrained.
That's what I said. Sorry, unconstrained. Yes.
Why do you shamelessly waste my time like this?
Constrained motion is motion on a predetermined path, isn't it?
Yes.
Unconstrained motion is what?
When doesn't have a predetermined path?
Free movement, correct?
Correct.
You can remember that from your class?
For the most part, we don't go that restrained and unconstrained.
We don't have to go that far in my class.
Unconstrained, not restrained.
That's what I said. Sorry, unconstrained. Yes.
Oh no. Kinematics uses algebraic formula to model these motions, right? The motions of these points, systems of points, correct?
Yes.
And it includes concepts like displacement and speed, velocity, distance, acceleration, which we've talked about, correct?
Correct.
And it looks at how these things, these values vary over a point in time or duration in time. Is that right? Do
Yes.
you actually understand the physics
Do
behind
you understand
studying
anything?
kinematics?
Yes.
Or do you learn in class?
Yes, we had to go over the physics part of it.
All right. So, yeah. So that's just their educational background going in. That guy, they're talking about Marie Russell having to prove herself, but that guy who has an associate's degree and took a class and doesn't know anything. I've never seen a witness as bad as him in anything ever. And yet this guy was allowed to just be an expert. Like you just got to call him an expert somehow. But anyway, let's go. I have the whole ARCCA thing here. We need to start. I got some tips, some clips here I wanted to play. Okay. All right. So we're going to start with Dr. Wolf, the crash daddy here. Because again, if John O'Keefe was not hit by a car, then there's nothing to talk about. There's nothing else matters. And the FBI hired these guys because they wanted to eliminate Karen Reed. They want to know, if we can't eliminate Karen Reed as a suspect, then we're not going to waste our time investigating this. So the ARCCA guys were the first people that they hired. And they've paid them, like I've been told, upwards of $500,000 to conduct these. I'm sure it's a very expensive company that normally gets paid probably by insurance companies who don't want to pay out or whatever. And I don't know what the fuck, but I'm sure the FBI doesn't hire them like all the time. But in this case, you know, they're probably one of the premier crash reconstruction companies in the country. So they hire them, and these guys are brilliant, and they have PhDs. They didn't go to community college. They're wicked smart, and we should probably listen to them. And when they testify that John's injuries were not consistent with the motor vehicle collision, and that the injuries to the vehicle were not consistent with hitting a pedestrian, that should probably tell us that Karen Reed couldn't have done this. And if Karen Reed didn't do it, then someone else did, because John's dead. So that's the first thing they do, is hire these guys. So like nothing else matters, like nothing else, except if she didn't do this, this is the only thing that matters. And this doesn't just cover murder. It covers manslaughter as well. Because that's the whole manslaughter thing was a compromise verdict. I just feel like it's like, well, we gotta throw Peggy a bone. She's sitting there fake crying. So we got to make it, seem like, we're doing this woman a favor. We got to do something. She's crying. She's looking right at us. And Brian Albert's scaring the shit out of us. So, murder was, first of all, the murder, no murder and manslaughter makes no sense either to me. It never did. Because 24 miles an hour in reverse can never be an accident, ever. It's either murder or nothing. And the answer is nothing. And the fact that more than one person can reach the conclusion, not just reach the conclusion, can vote to take 20 years of someone's life away, because that's what they're doing when they vote guilty. Vote to take 20 years of someone's life away because they're that sure that she hit them with the car, is criminal in and of itself. And I'm sick of pretending that it's not. I really am. And when this is all said and done, I think every member of the jury who voted to do this should be named and shamed. I do. Not now. But when this is all said and done, and Karen Reed is exonerated, and the FBI does their thing, and the bad guys are arrested, there needs to be some sort of reconciliation here, especially with the foreman and the engineer, who kind of were the bullies in the room, who allowed this to happen. Like, why are they not why are they not being shamed? How are they not part of the problem? Oh, they're just doing their job. They're not, though, because they didn't listen to science. And I don't trust them. I don't trust that they're not plants now. Like, they're just pieces of shit. And they did it because no one would know who they are. You know? And I haven't doxed them. I haven't done any of that. But, like, at the end of the day, how are they not complicit? Like, explain that one to me. Explain that one to me. So she can impound the list all she wants. I know the names. Okay? And when this is all said and done, all of these people, they didn't do their civic duty. They ignored the facts. They ignored it all. They did. And the same goes for, that juror in the Michael Cheston trial who just refused to deliberate. Yeah, I said who she was. I wrote a whole thing on her, identified her, shamed her. Why shouldn't I? What she did was shameful. And these people in the Daniel Penny case, I don't know what the case, that motherfucker's not guilty on steroids. Like, if you can't defend a train full of women and children from a deranged lunatic threatening to kill them, a career criminal, and just, he was alive when the cops got there too. You know, the fact that Daniel Penny, the subway hero, the Marine, is on trial is criminal in and of itself. This should have been the quickest not guilty verdict ever. But apparently the jury's hung. And like, at the end of the day, all the people on the jury, anyone who's like hung on this should be named, shamed, ridiculed. If a judge was doing this, we would shame them. Would we not? We got to do it. It's like these out of control jurors who just want to make up the law as they go around. I mean, it's fucking bullshit. So anyway, that's my thoughts. It's just criminal what these jurors did on this trial. And there were some real heroes on that jury that said, no. Fuck no. This woman is she clearly did not hit him with the car. Get it out of your head about the conspiracy. Who gives a shit? All you need to know is she didn't do it. You're not voting to convict Jennifer McCabe here. You're voting on whether or not Karen Reed did it, and it's just not possible. So let me bring this up. All right. So first clip I got here. Was there damage to the light? Okay. 155. So remember, Dr. Wolf was hired by the FBI to determine if the damage to the vehicle was consistent with a motor vehicle collision with a human body. And he did a couple tests. First, he did the cannon that he loved making. And they fired a drinking glass at the taillight to test the hypothesis that maybe John threw a drinking glass at it. So again, that whole test wasn't even necessary because that's not what the Commonwealth ended up alleging broke the taillight. See, the FBI had to think like, so what? How are they going to claim this happened? They tried that way, and they tested something that was similar to a human head to see if that would break the taillight, and then they did the arm thing. Okay, and they see if any of those are consistent with if the damage to the vehicle is consistent with any of those possible hypothetical situations. So here's what he said.
Bumper, more so on the wraparound section as it kind of curves around to the right side of the vehicle. There appear to be some superficial scratches as well in that area.
Was there any other damage or deformation that you were able to glean from your review, the photogrammetry, damage to the Lexus, the bumpers, the panels, the quarter panel, the sheet metal, anything like that?
No, the rest was remarkably intact.
Is it common in vehicle pedestrian collisions that there's some sort of bumper displacement and or sheet metal deformation that's concomitant to that?
Absolutely. Assuming a pedestrian is positioned in a normal upright position, you certainly would expect to see damage to the bumper. In a lot of cases, what happens is, the bumper is just clipped on. So again, the force of that impact will oftentimes cause the bumper to kind of become unmounted or unclipped. You certainly could see deformation to body paneling, such as the lift gate or the quarter panel as well.
Is that especially true at higher speeds, meaning above 15 miles per hour or so?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Was there any apparent damage to the Lexus that appeared consistent with any kind of pedestrian interaction that you saw?
No, it was really confined to just the taillight, a very isolated portion of the vehicle.
So there you go. Nothing about the car was consistent with the motor vehicle collision. Nothing.
During your review and your investigation, did you note information concerning items that were supposedly found on the bumper?
Yes.
What was that?
I believe it was noted there was 2 apparent glass fragments
Okay,
located.
so then let me listen to this part right here. Next part I got clipped. 159. Let's see.
And I will note, as part of the engagement with the entity that retained us, we were asked not to do any outside research.
That was your determination of, well, we were given instructions to reconstruct this. Let's look at every single angle, correct?
Absolutely. And I will note, as part of the engagement with the entity that retained us, we were asked.
As part of the engagement with the entity that retained us. Again, listen to that. This is how constricted these guys are. This is fucked up.
Not to do any, yes.
And that was your determination of, well, we were given instructions to reconstruct this. Let's look at every single angle, correct?
Absolutely. And I will note, as part of the engagement with the entity that retained us, we were asked.
As part of the engagement with the entity that retained us. It's criminal that this guy is testifying and he's not allowed to say who hired him. He can't. How the fuck is that like not telling? You want to tell the whole truth, the entire truth, and nothing but the truth, right? So why can't he say that? Why does he have to say the entity that retained us? Because the entity is the FBI that retained them.
Not to do any outside research or investigation of the case. It was to be based solely on the evidence that we were provided.
Okay. As a matter of fact, and importantly, while you were doing your testing, had you ever even heard of the Karen Reed case?
No.
No.
So getting back to that.
Exactly. So he was not hired by the defense. He had never even heard of this case. He's not from around here. His job was just to like look at the facts and determine, could this taillight have, got broken like this from a going in reverse collision? And the answer was no. And the jury missed that. The jury had no, after interviewing 2 jurors now, I know that the jury had no idea a federal investigation into the investigation itself had taken place. And that's the way that they like it. I can't believe we're at the point now where these people are like, the feds are actually corrupt. The feds are the bad guys. What? The feds? You think this is normal, dude? Nothing about this is normal. All right. Hold on.
Testing, and I interrupted your flow. You were looking at whether or not the glass could have produced the damage to the rear tail light that you saw, correct?
Correct.
And what did you do in furtherance of making a determination about whether or not that was?
All right.
His head.
So now he's going to talk about the test he did with the hybrid human head.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. What information, if any, were you provided that suggested that John O'Keefe threw a glass at the tail light?
No information.
What information, if any, were you provided that suggested that John O'Keefe may have had a pneumatic cannon with him? Right?
I'm not aware of any information regarding that.
All right. You also did some testing concerning a drop test. Is that right?
Correct.
Oh, she sneezed.
Tell us about that drop testing.
Certainly. So again, through discussion with Dr. Rentschler, it was my understanding that Mr. O'Keefe had a skull fracture on the back of his head. So we wanted to do an evaluation of the interaction between the back of a head. In this case, we used again, talking about that instrumented dummy again, we used the instrumented hybrid head form to perform a drop test to evaluate the forces of an interaction between a tail light from the Lexus and the human head.
So they built a hybrid human head that weighs the same amount as a human head and dropped it against the taillight at a velocity that would have been similar to what the Commonwealth alleges was the velocity that John's head was struck by the Lexus. Okay. So this is just science. This is physics.
What height did you choose to perform this drop test?
7.5 feet.
Why'd you choose that height?
Well, if you calculate it through physics and the acceleration due to gravity, that would equate to an impact speed of 15 miles per hour at that height.
And what was the significance of 50 miles per hour?
Well, that was essentially kind of a starting point for us, if you will. So I will tell you that in reverse, 15 miles an hour is fast. I don't know if you've ever looked at your speedometer when you're pulling into your driveway, reversing into it into a parking stall. Most people probably don't go more than 5 miles an hour. So 15 miles an hour in reverse is fast, especially when we're talking about, it's my understanding it was nighttime. There was winter conditions.
And again, this whole test with the head is all moot anyway, because the Commonwealth doesn't even allege that that the tail light hit his head. The problem is they had no idea what the Commonwealth was going to come up until the trial itself. I had no idea what their theory was. They didn't put it out there. They had no fucking theory. When I heard arm hitting the taillight, like that's the arm hit the taillight. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Even Plevin's fucking idea sounded better than this. The arm hitting the taillight. Are you fucking kidding me? Oh my God, stop it. Stop it. But so they had to run a bunch of tests. They did the cannon test to see if the shot glass hit it. They did the freaking human head test. And then
wet or icy roads. So again, that speed is going to be what I would say on the high end for going in reverse. So also in addition to with respect to kind of just the nature of that speed, it's my understanding through discussion with Dr. Rentschler that at 15 miles an hour, you start to see significant injuries to the human body when it makes contact with a vehicle. And I think one last point is that we needed to pick a speed where, again, this is kind of just us brainstorming, where we would have damage to the taillight, right? It would fracture it, but it wouldn't completely obliterate it. So we knew if we chose a speed, for instance, of 40 miles an hour, we know we're going to completely essentially explode the taillight. But if we do 1 mile an hour, we may not do anything.
And by the way, I mean, just look who's in the courtroom, the state. Like, are they listening to anything? You got Paul here with the crotch, his wife. You got, I miss John. He's off at sea. Tara Kerrigan there. You got the rumpy looking cousins here. You got Jill Harrison Thomas. She's a McAlbert, so she wants them to be not guilty. She wants Karen to be guilty so that her friends are protected. Then you got Peggy O'Keefe here. And it's like, are you guys listening to any of this? Like, is this at all concerning to you that this brilliant person up here is saying that this is impossible?
Right. So we kind of had to pick a middle ground to again, cause damage to the taillight.
What was your conclusion with following that testing? What was your conclusion with regard to whether or not it was consistent or inconsistent with the damage to the truck, the taillight was consistent or inconsistent with making contact with John O'Keefe's head at or above 15 miles an hour?
So strictly speaking to a damage perspective, the 15 mile an hour interaction between the hybrid head form and the test tail lamp produced significantly more damage than that of the subject vehicle. So that indicates that, again, the damage on the subject taillight was less than that of the test taillight.
So it would have actually caused more damage to the taillight if it hit his head, he's saying there. But again, it didn't hit his head.
If I were to ask you whether or not there would be more or less damage to the taillight if you increase the speed to 24 miles an hour, what's your conclusion?
Yeah, fast forward.
Well, you're talking about
whether or not there was damage between the dent and the taillight. In other words, that 20-inch area.
So this is another thing. Okay. So I forgot about this. So they pointed at Trooper Paul said in his testimony that there was a scratch on the vehicle, or a dent and a scratch that was parallel with the light. And it was 20 inches away from the taillight. And his philosophy is that like John's arm is 20 inches long. And so that he had the drinking glass out here, it hit the car. And that's what it's just insane. It's absolutely insane. It's bonkers. But they talk about this here. Listen to this.
Was it deformed in any way?
So in terms of, again, if we're talking about, again, looking at the back of the vehicle and we go to kind of where that right tail lamp just meets the liftgate, as I mentioned, there's another lamp assembly on the liftgate itself. There's also a chrome trim piece above that, and then certainly the body paneling to the liftgate itself. And I think what stood out to me is that between that dent and the fractured taillight, there was no observable damage to that area, which I would have expected had an arm been positioned there.
So had an arm been positioned, the Trooper Paul again said that little dent kind of 20 inches away from the light was his drinking glass, and he held his arm out like this. And then, but the problem is there's no damage between that little dent, and the light itself is completely unscathed. So he's like, there would have been more damage between the light and that little thing if there was actual, if he actually hit an arm. Duh. Then
be projected.
Is the absence of damage that you described between the dent and the rest of the vehicle, with the exception of the taillight, is that consistent or inconsistent with striking an outstretched arm of a human being?
Objection.
I'll allow that.
That would be inconsistent in my opinion.
Inconsistent. There we go. So this guy who's a scientist says it's inconsistent with all three theories here: the shot glass, the head, and the arm out are inconsistent with the damage to the vehicle. That doesn't make
just a moment, Your Honor. Yes.
So that settles that. Now,
and what is your opinion, Doctor?
You are unmuted.
May I, Your Honor?
Yes.
Last question, Doctor. In your expert opinion,
that's a good question.
Is the damage to the taillight
that's
you
good.
saw consistent with striking a human head?
No.
In your expert opinion, is the damage to the taillight consistent with striking a human arm?
No.
Thank you. That's all I have.
All right, jurors, we will take our morning recess.
There you go. It's not consistent. And that's a good question. Why didn't ARCCA do a video? I do feel like that would have added a lot if they videotaped some of these, tests. That would have done a lot. I mean, our people did that. Some guy, I think it was Justin, took a goddamn frozen ribs or something and smashed the fucking taillight as hard as he could and couldn't break it. It was wild. It was wild. But yeah, we could use a video reenactment. That would be awesome this time around. We'll see what happens. Okay. All right. Next up, what my next thing here is 245, the shoe. Let's talk about the shoe. So then he gets cross-examined, and Lally tries getting like spicy here and just doesn't work out. He's so awkward.
Not nearly as often as, like I said earlier, we primarily do litigation work. So again, by the time we're retained, obviously the scene has been is no longer present.
Scene's been cleared. Items have been removed as far as evidence.
Well, listen to that. Listen to that. Listen to that.
Bodies in place of final rest. Have you ever been to the scene where those sort of conditions existed?
Have you ever been to the scene where these sort of situations existed? Now, just listen to what he says here and think of how the jury would handle this when you think about who hired you, like who's paying you to be here. Listen to what he says.
Certainly. We have a rapid response team that essentially we've been on site on the day of or the week of the incident. Yes.
Now, how often is that?
Not nearly as often as, like I said earlier, we primarily do litigation work. So again, by the time we're retained.
We primarily do litigation work. We primarily do litigation work. What's litigation work? Well, you would think legal shit, right? Like insurance companies, right? That if I was a juror, that's what I would think. I would think these guys were hired by Karen Reed's insurance company and they don't want to pay out, right? It's in their scammers probably. That's what you would think, right? Like this is all court. And I get why they would think that. And that's why it's such bullshit that they can't, you don't see the whole picture of who the fuck. It's so relevant. So I hope they fight these motions and Lyman in the next trial.
That obviously the scene has been is no longer present.
Scene's been cleared. Items have been removed as far as evidence or other things. That's mostly what you deal with, correct?
Sure.
And as far as the hat that we were talking about before, is you aware that was recovered as well? Same day as the drinking straw, February 3rd, in the area where the body of Mr. O'Keefe was discovered?
In the area of the front yard, yes.
Now, you have some familiarity through working as a crash reconstructionist with pedestrian collisions, correct?
Correct.
Is it common or uncommon for in the course of a pedestrian collision, for a shoe or glasses or a hat or something to fall off of that pedestrian in the collision sequence near where the area of impact occurs?
Okay, so this is where Lally he's so bad at the cross, and he tries to get these people in like a gotcha situation. Like, oh, is it rare to find a shoe there? Because this is their whole thing, is that he got knocked so hard that he fell off, his shoe fell off. Right? That's why the shoe, except there's just one problem. The Canton police didn't find a shoe. That showed up there later on. The CERT team found that one 12 hours later after a foot and a half of snow had fallen. Somehow the Canton police with their snowblower out there, they missed it. They missed that. So listen to how he answers this.
Well, I think that depends on the interaction between the two. If it's more of a side swipe type interaction, if we're just talking about an arm, for instance, contact the vehicle, no, I would not expect the shoe to come off.
If it was a side swipe, I would not expect the shoe to fall off. And just to remind you, the government's alleging that it was a side swipe. They're not saying that he got hit and run over. They said he was swiped and did a pirouette. Okay? And so they're not saying that. They're saying here, so it's impossible. They're like, no, like the shoe would, Lally thinks he's got them in a gotcha. Like, see, shoes fall off. It must have been a motor vehicle collision. He's like, but they don't fall off during side swipes.
something where the entire body is interacting with the vehicle, then yes, there's a greater likelihood that something like a shoe will come off. Yes.
So if the entire body is hit by the vehicle, not just the arm, then yeah, a shoe can come off then. But if you're just sideswiped, your shoe's not going to fall off. Got it?
So that is consistent in general terms with the pedestrian collision of the shoe coming off, correct?
So that is consistent then. Like, he thinks he's got them in a gotcha here. He's like, so it is consistent for the shoe to come off. Not during a side swipe, dumbass. And you're alleging a side swipe has happened. He's just hoping the jury's stupid. This is so intentionally deceptive.
Again, based on the interaction between the two. I wouldn't say it's a blanket statement that, again, in all pedestrian interactions, you will have a shoe come off.
And that's not the question I was asking. So what I'm asking is it generally consistent with pedestrian collisions, a shoe may come off?
Not during a side swipe.
Shoes can come off in a pedestrian impact, yes.
Shoes can come off, but not a swipe. See, I don't understand why the defense didn't object there. We're not talking, nobody's alleging that the car, they're alleging that this, it's just that's designed to deceive the jury, because they're just like, oh, so a shoe can come off. Well, yeah, certainly, but not in the way they claim. Like, I don't know why they didn't object there. Adam Lally objects to everything. Everything. Why didn't the defense object there? I don't know.
Now, again, you were testifying earlier about
and he'd already answered
damage
it,
to the weapons
exactly.
being isolated in the area of the tail, correct?
Correct.
And that was based on the information that you were providing, correct?
Correct.
Now, with respect
now he starts getting good here.
to any of the materials that you were provided, was there anything in the materials that you were provided that indicated that just the arm or an outstretched arm of Mr. O'Keefe interacted with the vehicle?
No.
And based on your review of any of the materials that you were provided, was there any information stating that Mr. O'Keefe had been struck in the back of the head by the taillight assembly of the Lexus?
No.
And based on any of the material,
Based on any of the material you provided, is there anything showing just the arm got hit by the vehicle? Well, that's what you're alleging happened. No, the head, no, nobody ever alleged that. They did that because they didn't know what your theory was. So they had to test out a broad variety of theories.
let me ask you, based on any of the materials that you provided, you're aware that Mr. O'Keefe is on video exiting from a bar minutes before crash occurs at approximately 12:11 a.m. holding a cocktail glass in his right hand.
I'm not aware of that video.
Are you aware that there's a video of him leaving with the cocktail glass? He's like, no, I'm just here for the science. I'm just here for that. Are you aware that she said, I hit him? Are you aware of that? No, I'm just here for the science. Are you aware that she flirted with a man named Brian Higgins for quite some time? Again, sir, I'm just here for the science. Yeah. Okay. So now let me see. Here's another part. Let's see. The 3-hour mark. Let's see.
Correct.
Correct.
Were there injuries to his right arm and forearm, elbow area, correct?
Correct.
There was bruising to his right hand. Do you recall that?
Yes.
There was an abrasion to the outside or the posterior of his right leg near his knee. Do you recall that?
I don't know that I recall that off the top of my head.
And do you recall sort of the skull fracture or the laceration immediately outside of the skull fracture was on sort of the right back of his head?
Yes.
Now, from the reports that you reviewed, were you aware that when Mr. O'Keefe's body was discovered by the defendant and two of Mr. O'Keefe's friends, that the defendant was the only one who could see him in the conditions?
Objection. Sustained.
Like, what? Like, why the fuck does that have to do with the science? Are you aware that Karen Reed's the only one that saw the body?
Lighting was concerned in that area where Mr. O'Keefe's body was found. Are you aware there was no overhead street ambient lighting or anything like that?
Objection. Oh, lighting.
I'm not aware of that.
And you didn't do any visibility analysis or anything in relation to this case, correct?
That wasn't part of my scope in this case.
Well, as far as part of your scope, did you define that you indicated earlier that there were questions that you didn't find in the materials that you actually conducted experiments to prove or disprove, correct?
Well, again, the entity that retained us in this asked us to evaluate whether or not the damage to the vehicle and the injuries to Mr. O'Keefe were consistent with the interaction or in interaction between the two.
So you were at least somewhat restricted in the scope of what you could do based on the parameters given to you by the agency that hired you. Is that fair to say?
The agency.
Sure.
You were restricted based on the parameters. It's like, dude, they were there to... Nothing else matters. It doesn't matter, Lally, if Karen Reed saw the body and no one else did. It doesn't matter if John left with the drinking glass. It doesn't matter if there's DNA on the taillight. None of that matters. Because if it's physically impossible for John's injuries to have come from a motor vehicle collision, then none of that matters. And again, the entity that hired us, the parameters of the entity, right? What is the entity going to want to know? What if it's an insurance company? What are they going to want to know? Was this a motor vehicle collision? No, that's all they're going to want to know. Again, that's all they were hired to do. They don't need to look at anything else. They're hired to do one fucking job. Because if he wasn't hit by a car, then Karen Reed didn't kill him, and that's the end of it. All right. How about this? Lally comes up with more gotchas.
So, Doctor, with regard to the defendant's statements at any point where you did you review materials or were you made aware that the defendant said to multiple people on scene, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him?
I'm not aware of that.
Are you aware of that? Why the fuck would he be aware of that, Lally? Why would you? The guy was hired to test science. Who gives a fuck if she said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him? Like science. Whatever happened to science? Look at him. He thinks he's so smart. Look at him.
Submitted. There's an indication that if either Mr. O'Keefe's arm or head had interacted with a taillight, there'd be some expectation that either blood or DNA would be contained on that taillight. Is that correct?
I believe, yes, that was stated in the report.
And at any point were you made aware that Mr. O'Keefe's DNA actually was recovered from that taillight assembly from the defendant's vehicle?
No, I was not.
DNA was discovered on the taillight. Not blood. Not blood. DNA. He lived with her. There's 1,000,001 ways his DNA can get on her taillight. Okay. Now, if there was blood, you might be on to something. That would be fucking real. That'd be tough for me to explain. But DNA, no. There's no blood on the tail. Remember, these people are alleging that the taillight itself acted as a knife that chopped up John's arm and caused all those parallel gashes on it. And he really thinks he's like, got him here. Got him. Roasted.
As far as forensic reports, what, if anything, were you provided in reference to that, other than the initial crime scene report?
Are you talking about specific to the scene or?
So with regard to the defendant's statements, were you also not told that the defendant told several people that she had just gotten into a fight with Mr. O'Keefe right before she dropped him off at 34 Derby Road?
So that's sustained.
Are you aware that she had told several people that she got into a fight? This is the best this guy can come up with. How about this one?
Question correctly, yes. If the vehicle is striking the center of gravity of a pedestrian as opposed to just, for instance, a limb, yes, the center of gravity of the body will be accelerated up to that speed.
Now, with respect to the defendant's vehicle, again, you never actually looked at the defendant's vehicle, is that correct?
It wasn't necessary.
And did you look at the actual taillight housing from the defendant's vehicle?
I had sufficient photographs of the taillight.
Did you ever look at the actual physical broken pieces of the taillight from the defendant's vehicle?
Again, I had sufficient photographs that documented the fragments and pieced them together.
And you're aware, at least, that the fragments that were recovered on scene were then sort of put back together and put overlaid over the taillight housing that was taken from the defendant's vehicle?
Yes.
And through any of the pictures or the photos that you observed, did you ever see a piece of metal protruding underneath the broken and shattered plastic pieces from the taillight?
And this really says it all. Lally's like, well, you saw pictures of the taillight, right? But did you actually see the taillight? And you think about it and you're like, this was their presentation to the jury. All those times where like they put on their gloves like the real cops, opened up the packages and they're like, taillight, aha, taillight. Look at that. It's red, shiny. It's a taillight. See, it's way better than a picture, isn't it? He thinks that means something. Why the fuck would he actually need to see the taillight itself? That's what a fucking camera's for, dipshit. Is this guy serious? All right. How about this? Here's another gotcha question that he came up with.
That you're familiar with, there was a piece of a broken drinking glass that was recovered from the same area where Mr. O'Keefe was found. Is that correct?
Amongst the fragments of the taillight, yes.
And are you familiar with Mr. O'Keefe's DNA being present on those pieces of the exterior of a broken drinking glass located near his body?
I don't believe so.
Now, as far as Mr.
Are you aware that his DNA was on was it the drinking glass?
O'Keefe's DNA being present on those pieces of the exterior of a broken drinking glass located near his body.
Why the fuck would they need to know Why would the crash reconstructionist need to know that John's DNA was found on a drinking glass? Like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything, Lally?
I don't believe so.
How about that?
Now, as far as Mr. O'Keefe's clothing, his fingernails, are you aware that there was DNA of Mr. O'Keefe and no one else recovered from both his fingernails and from a variety of areas of his clothing?
Objection.
Sustained.
Now, from the crime scene reports that you reviewed, are you aware that there was human hair that was located
Oh
on
my
the right
God.
report panel near the dent that you were talking about?
Objection.
I'll allow that.
Yes.
Are you familiar or are you aware that subsequent mitochondrial DNA testing found that the mitochondrial DNA profile for that hair was consistent to a probability of 99.895% with the mitochondrial DNA profile of Mr. O'Keefe?
I'm not aware of that.
Because I don't care. It's like, no, it's just, I'm not aware of that because I'm just here for the physics. That's what I was hired to do. I'm a crash reconstructionist. I don't do hairs and DNA testing. That's not what I do. Okay. So I wasn't aware of that. No. How about this one?
Backing out of a garage.
So this is where they ask him, like, what about, could the tail light have been broken by backing out of the garage? They want to prove that this didn't happen the way that Karen Reed says it did.
Now, Doctor, in the course of your analysis or review of materials here, were you ever provided with a video of the defendant backing out of a garage and making contacts with Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle in his driveway at about 5:07 in the morning on January 29th?
No.
No.
Now, as far as from your review and your testing and everything that you did in this case, if a collision occurred at a lower speed, say 1, 2, anywhere from 0 to 5 miles an hour, would that create the damage to the taillight that you observed in this particular case?
At that speed, no.
Exactly. At that speed, no. What about a crack, though? Because we all agree that Karen Reed backing up into John's car would not have caused the damage to the taillight as it was seen in the Canton Sallyport later on. We all agree with that. What we disagree on is how the fuck when it got like that. Because it didn't seem like it was like that when she pulled out of his house at 5:07 a.m. It was like that later on. It didn't even seem like that on Charlie Ray's dash cam video when he pulled up to the house. Didn't seem like that.
There were about 10 items that you were provided that you reviewed, is that correct?
Correct.
And a number of different items that I just asked you about that you weren't provided with or you weren't aware of, correct?
Correct.
And again, in your report, in the very first paragraph, you indicate, however, ARCCA reserves the right to supplement or revise this report if additional information becomes available, correct?
Correct.
Right.
I have nothing further on that.
All right, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Your Honor.
There we go.
Very briefly, Dr. Wolf, you were asked on cross-examination a couple of questions about hair, DNA on the outside of the taillight lens, the taillight housing, and glass material. You recall that?
Yes.
Does any of that change your opinion about your opinions and conclusions in this case?
Objection.
I'll allow that.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. I love that's such a great question. So, like, all this taillight, all this DNA stuff that you didn't know about, does any of that change your opinion about whether or not, you know, the laws of physics say that that the damage to the taillight didn't come from hitting John O'Keefe? Absolutely not. Like, basically everything that guy just said doesn't fucking matter at all.
What is your conclusion as to whether or not the damage to the vehicle and the injuries to a human being
Perfect
are consistent
answer.
or
Exactly.
inconsistent with vehicle
Absolutely
interaction?
not.
Objection.
Sustained. All right, Dr. Wolf, you are all set, sir.
Thank you.
All right. So, we're going to get to the other Crash Daddy in a moment. Let me just read some turtle chats real quick. All right. First up, we got Chloe. Tell the Truth sends $5 and says, how about Jen McTooth butt dialing John from 12:30 a.m. on, and he never called her back? Yeah, she was looking for his phone after the fight. Let's debunk the original 911 call, her and male dispatch. Okay, I agree with everything you said there. Thank you, Chloe. Loudmouth sends $25, says, Mark Vaginitis, you suck. Thanks for always cracking me up and reminding me about our constitutional rights. My pleasure. I think you mean Matt Vaginitis. Matt Vaginitis. Wait a minute. Did Penn State, they scored? Did they not get the extra point or did they go for 2? I need to know what happened there. Need to know what happened. Okay, thank you. Kim sends $10 and says, How would the foreman vote if asked by the court regarding the first trial? Huh? I would think he would say that he voted not guilty on murder. They were all willing to say that. So yeah, thank you. A-Rod Rodriguez sends $10 and goes, Jackson is a mechanical engineer. Is he really? Thank you very much, A-Rod. Chris sends $50 and goes, please, no last name. Healthcare guy was supposed to testify versus Pelosi. If off record Voss comments are admitted, the federal investigation should be as well. How do you suppose Beveridge explains the lead detective not being employed or able to take stand in trial 2? He is employed. He's just not getting paid right now. Has Sean in the Gulf reached out? I feel like he had an actual breakdown. Luckily, I haven't heard from Sean in the Gulf at all. Thankfully, we seem to have moved past that one. But as far as the other stuff you're saying, I don't know if Proctor's going to testify in the second trial. It's not a good look if he doesn't. It's not a good look if he does. But why'd they allow him to do it in the first place, in the first trial? I don't know. I think they're going to have to. If they had him testify in the first trial, why not the second? With the Voss stuff, I don't like, again, unless she confessed to killing John O'Keefe, which I feel like Gretchen Voss probably would have published had she done so. I don't know what Hank is expecting to find here. So thank you for that one, Chris. Next up, Suzanne sends $10 and goes, I spent over 20 years as a compliance officer in health insurance companies, and I had to deny claims. We also approved experimental services. We are not bad people. Well, thank you very much, Suzanne. I appreciate that. Callie sends $10, says 18-month investigation over $7,000 is a glaring reminder that the FBI investigations are always slow burns. Exactly. You rock, Doc. Thank you for fighting the good fight. Well, thank you very much. Get him, get him, get him. Yes. All right. Awesome. All right. A-Rod Rodriguez sends $10, says, why do all the Karen haters shut off their comments? What a bunch of pussies. I know. You know, Krusty doesn't, at least. She just gets dunked on. I think she likes getting dunked on, but the rest of them are just pussies. All right. Thank you. Sunny Days sends $25 and says, Colorado loves you too. We are blue like Mass, but there are so many of us that want the fucking truth. Colorado wasn't that blue like 20 years ago. It got real blue. Yeah. Thanks for bringing it, Turtleboy. Love you. Well, thank you very much, Sunny Days, and shout out to all my Colorado Turtle Riders. Okay, cool. Nikki sends $10 and says, speaking of bonuses, Lally's received over $84,000 in bonuses since being at Norfolk District Attorney's Office. Interesting. He holds the spot number 3. Beeland is number 1 with 98,000, and Krippendorf is number 2 with 85,000. Just in bonuses? That's interesting. Well, thank you much, Nikki. Jay Carp sends $10 and goes, Auntie Deb is a meanie. I am more than a Make-A-Wish Peggy Bundy. Oh, Julie Carpenter. Yeah. Auntie Deb is a meanie. I know. He's sassy and fresh. Thank you very much, Jay Carp. Okay. Do we have any cash apps here? I could have sworn I was getting cash apps before. Hold on. All right. I don't think we do. I got the Christine, I think was the last cash app we had there. Okay, cool. All right. Let me just refresh and make sure I didn't miss anyone. Yeah. Lacey sends $10 and goes, are we going to hear Alan's very serious voiceover clip I sent you and Meredith? Oh, do we have that? I don't know where I have it. I'd have to, I'll try to find it. Remind me at the end. I can find that for us. The voiceover. Wait. There was a Taylor Swift one that Meredith put out. I got to find this one. Hold on. People are loving this. You guys are loving the goddamn Phelps photos, huh? I can't. All right. I can't. Hold on. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. All right, let's see. I think I found it. Let me see.
M. William Phelps may have written 45 books that almost no one has read. And he may be a true crime podcasting legend. But he is no longer the top dog in town. A much younger, fresher face has arrived.
More attractive, too.
Move over Mount Valentines. There's a new sheriff in town.
Ooh.
A.Timothy
Ooh,
Kearney.
shit's serious.
And he'll be exposing corruption and solving murders in ways Phelps never has.
So serious. All right. Cool. Thank you for that one, Lacey. She says that since you've been on the air, the Assad regime has fallen. Did that really happen? It was that in Syria. He's out. That's good. What a moment in history to share with you. I sent you a Marino inaugural invite. Check your DMs. I did get that. I won't be able to make it, Lacey, to Ohio, unfortunately, for Marino's party. But pass along my regards, will you? Thank you very much. All right, cool. If anyone else wants their message read out loud, you click at the top for Turtle Chat, or you can cash at me at $ Uncle Turtleboy and do it that way. Yeah. I fucking took down Syria. Like, it's what I did. I go live, shit happens, gets done. Boom. You're welcome. Thank you, George Bush. I did that. All right, here we go. So let me play some Dr. Rentschler. Okay. All right, let's start off with who hired you?
To engage in an analysis, ARCCA, to engage in an analysis of the incident that is currently before the court.
I was, yes, sir.
Did you produce, or did your team produce a report about your opinions and conclusions, including the testing and the methodology that went behind those opinions and conclusions?
We did, yes.
You were not hired by the defense in this case, correct?
No, we were not.
You were not hired by the Commonwealth in this case.
That's correct. We were not.
When you started your analysis, you didn't know who we were. You did not know who the Commonwealth was.
That's correct.
You never heard of Kearney case.
I had not, no, sir.
Were you contacted by my office after you provided your report, correct?
That is correct, yes.
Were you ever contacted by the Commonwealth?
Not that I'm aware of, no, sir.
How about that? The Commonwealth didn't even contact them. They had no interest in them. Afterwards, though. Afterwards. So if they weren't hired by the Commonwealth and they weren't hired by the defense and they'd never heard of them beforehand, I mean, I guess insurance. I guess they could come up with insurance, but he's trying to give the jury hints here and they're just not taking the bait.
And you and I never discussed the substance of your testimony, correct?
That's correct. We have not. The damage that we have to the Lexus, primarily the right rear tail light cover, as well as we perform testing to evaluate the strength of that tail light cover and look at the damage associated with different types of impacts. And also to look at the overall evidence of where everything was found, where Mr. O'Keefe was found, what the injuries were. I did, yes. I determined in my analysis whether there was sufficient force with that damaged taillight and interaction with that taillight to produce any of the injuries that were listed or diagnosed in the autopsy report and the medical records.
Generally speaking, what injuries would you expect to see in a vehicle-pedestrian interaction at, say, 24 miles per hour?
Okay, so first of all, Lally objects to that, which is wild. So he goes, what injuries would you expect to see from a motor vehicle collision at 24 miles an hour? Why the fuck would you object to that, Lally? It's your theory. if he was hit by a car, isn't this going to help you out, Lally, right? If he was actually hit by a car, don't you want him to testify to this? But Lally's like, objection. They're going to know we're bullshit if he answers this one. Objection, Your Honor. But he's going to explain the injuries you would expect to see from 24 miles an hour.
Objection. I'll allow that. Just generally, Dr. Please.
Yes, Your Honor. So 24 miles an hour, once you get up to that speed, you start to see fractures. You see significant ligament and tendon damage. I mean, usually about 15 mile an hour impact is where you start to see damage to, for instance, the leg and the knee. At that speed, you're going to produce, if you impact the vehicle, you're going to produce upwards of 1,000 pounds of force on the body, depending on what part of your body impacts the vehicle. So certainly at 25 miles an hour, you start to see significant injuries occur.
Is that true for any part of the body that is struck, whether it's center mass or an extremity? 1,000 pounds of force because of the speed of the vehicle?
Well, force is equal. Newton's second law of force is equal to mass times acceleration. So the acceleration is going to be the same. It depends on the mass of whatever body part's being hit. So from the testing that we did at 15 miles an hour, we used a head form, which weighs about 11 pounds. And that produced almost 1,000 pounds of force, a little under that for the head. So anything that weighs 11 pounds is going to produce almost 1,000 pounds of force. The heavier the object, if you get hit center mass, that's going to be even greater force because that's more mass than just 11 pounds. So the acceleration is the same for each body part. It just depends on the weight of the body part and how heavy it is to determine the force that's actually exerted on the body.
Nice answer. Right. Exactly. So go ahead.
Did you review, in furtherance of your conclusions and opinions, did you review records that indicated injuries to both a head as well as an arm, the right extremity, right arm?
I did, yes, sir.
Taking those one at a time, is the injury to the head that you saw consistent with having been struck by a vehicle at 24 miles per hour?
It is not, no, sir.
So, again, they didn't know that the theory was the arm when they did these tests. So they had to be like, what about the head? Could he have hit him with the head? No, it's not consistent with that at all. Okay, cool.
Explain why that is.
There's a couple of reasons. First of all, and the main reason is that to get the injury, it was a fracture at the occipital region of the head, which is basically on the back bottom part of the head. So in order to have that part of the head contacted by the taillight, you would somehow have to have a configuration or be standing in a manner that the rest of your body doesn't get hit because there's no other significant injuries to the body. If there's enough force to cause a skull fracture, then there's going to be certainly enough force to cause injury to the rest of the body. So first of all, you have to determine how could you configure somebody could actually be standing.
Have you seen Plevin's video, sir? Have you seen it? He's like, wait, he's like pointing out like, this is obviously it can't be the head because that's fucking insane. You have to like bend over. Sir, do we have a video that you need to see?
To have only the head impacted, the back of the head. And even if that was the case, if somebody positioned themselves in such a manner to have that occur, you're still going to see other injuries related to that. For instance, with the cervical spine, over 1,000 pounds of force acting on the head, you're going to get significant cervical injuries, fractures, disc injuries, tendon and ligament injuries. So the fact that we only have that head injury and only damage to the occipital portion of the skull is inconsistent in this case with being struck by that tail light. And then there's also the evidence that we saw when we did the testing at 15 miles an hour.
So the head, I'm going to skip over the head part because no one's even alleging that the head hit the taillight except for Plevin, and he doesn't count. So we're going to play. What about this part?
With the head, you make contact with an arm, not just arm.
They are. I just explained the forces
of
acceleration. So if the arm weighs the same as the head, you're still going to get that same force, almost 1,000 pounds.
Does the arm weigh the same as the head?
It does, actually, almost identical because your arm, just one of your arms, including the hand, forearm, and upper arm, is about 5% of your total body weight. So for someone who weighs 216 pounds, that comes out to about 10.8 pounds. So your arm, basically your whole arm is about the same, weighs the same as your head.
So is your analysis the same then if the arm, close to an 11-pound arm, made contact with the taillight traveling 24 miles an hour, at 15 miles an hour, would you expect even more damage to the taillight at a higher speed?
Objection.
I'll allow it. Watch the leading.
Sure.
Yes, you would. If it's higher than 15 miles an hour and you have an arm actually striking that taillight, you're going to get even more significant fracturing, more damage to that taillight at a higher speed than what we saw.
So was the taillight damage consistent or inconsistent with striking an arm?
It was, our findings was it's inconsistent for a number of reasons, but it's inconsistent with striking the arm. Yes, sir.
Okay. For a number of reasons, but overall, yes, it's definitely inconsistent.
I want to shift back to
that's the most important part.
Injury that you saw. Was the head injury that you saw consistent with falling backward from a standing position onto a rigid surface?
That's certainly one of the possible scenarios. That would create the injury mechanism. You fall backwards, strike your head on concrete. That can produce thousands of pounds of force on the head. And so that's certainly a scenario where you could produce that damage if someone was standing, they fell backwards and struck their head on the roadway or on the curb or a hard surface.
So
yeah, so like nobody debates that the gash in the back of the head could have come from him hitting in the head on the hard surface or anything. It can't something or a weight bench or a stair or a wall or something. It definitely came from a blunt force impact situation, period.
I was going to ask, if you think you may just answer my question, those kinds of force multipliers require a hard rigid surface or not?
They do, yes, sir.
So grass and dirt would not produce the same sort of force?
Grass and dirt, no, that would certainly not produce the same amount of force as hitting your head on concrete.
And if it was grass
Exactly. What if it was
and dirt with a little bit of snow on the top of it, what effect is that?
That's going to dampen and lessen the force even more so.
So again, he's like, well, this Trooper Paul says that the ground caused it. The ground caused him to hit. Does that make any sense to you? And he's just like, no, that actually makes less sense. Absolutely not.
Injuries. I want to shift back to the arm. I know I'm going back and forth. Bear with me. Talking about the arm, if presuming a strike at, say, 24 miles an hour on just the arm, what kind of damage would you expect to see on the arm, irrespective of the vehicle?
You can see significant damage on the arm, especially if it hits at that taillight. Enough force to actually cause fracture of that taillight. That force is going to be concentrated at an initial point. And you're going to see at that point, you're going to see probably the most damage to the arm and to the skin there. So remember, at 15 miles an hour, that's about almost 1,000 pounds. So 24, 25, it's even greater. So that amount of force on the arm, certainly you're going to see extensive subcutaneous lacerations, bruising, contusions. You're going to see most likely fracture of the arm as well.
You're going to see fracture of the arm, bruising, and contusions. There were no bruisings. There was no contusions. There was no fracturing of the arm. But those are things that you would have seen if you stuck your arm out and it was hit by a taillight. That's what would have happened. But it didn't.
You're going to see significant damage. Just imagine having your arm out and being struck by a car at 25 miles an hour. There's going to be significant damage, more so compared to simply the abrasions that were diagnosed and documented on the arm in this case.
You did look at multiple photographs of the arm in this case, of the John O'Keefe's arm in this case, right?
I did, yes, sir.
Right. Were the injuries that you saw on John O'Keefe's right arm consistent with having been struck by a vehicle in the manner that you just described?
Objection.
That's sustained, Mr. Jackson.
Wait. Why was that sustained? Wait, what?
In this case, of the John O'Keefe's
damage, more so compared to simply the abrasions that were diagnosed and documented on the arm in this case.
You did look at multiple photographs of the arm in this case, of the John O'Keefe's arm in this case, right?
I did, yes, sir.
Right. Were the injuries that you saw on John O'Keefe's right arm consistent with having been struck by a vehicle in the manner that you just described?
Objection.
That's sustained, Mr. Jackson.
How is that sustained? Are they consistent with being hit? What?
You reviewed injuries specific to John O'Keefe, correct?
I did, yes.
Taking that as a hypothetical, would the injuries that you saw, generally speaking, hypothetically be consistent or inconsistent with having been struck by a car at 24 miles an hour?
Objection.
Sustained.
What? Why?
Yes.
What? Again, there was so much wasted time in the trial with this. Phrase it this way, say it this way, blah, blah, blah. It's like he objected to everything. And I guess it worked because it caused confusion and delay. And that was their only hope. That was really like their best shot at this. Okay. So let me see. What injuries would you expect to see on the arm? Let's see. Let's fast forward to that point.
You are unmuted.
Yes.
If you were to presume, for purposes of my question, that an arm was struck by a vehicle, taillight traveling at 24 miles an hour or thereabouts, would you expect to see patterned abrasions with no bruising?
Objection.
Or just what would you expect to see?
What would you expect to see?
So again, I would expect to see significant trauma to the skin, to the bone, to the tendons. I wouldn't expect to see just abrasions, pattern abrasions. I mean, abrasion by very definition means that it's trauma to the skin, which is created through rubbing or grinding or friction. So it's basically something rubbing against the skin that basically wears away that top layer of skin. It's not blunt force trauma. If you have blunt force trauma, that produces a contusion or a bruising. It's not a laceration type injury where you have a cutting injury that actually produces a cut or a significant laceration. It's really just rubbing along the skin. So that would be inconsistent. If you have an arm that's actually struck at 25 miles an hour, you're going to have significantly greater damage, especially if there's a taillight that shatters. So you have the taillight coming in, it's hitting the arm and it's moving forward into the arm. So if that actually caused fracturing of the taillight, then parts of that taillight are going to be pushed into the arm and likely embedded into the arm as the vehicle continues forward and pushes the arm out of the way.
I mean, just look at these guys. Are they listening to anything? Anything? Look at them. Are any of them listening to any of this? I didn't see any. Basically just superficial abrasions, which all appear to have a similar amount of force.
There's not a difference. That's the other thing. If you had a taillight shatter and explode on an arm, you would have some areas where you would have very deep contusions or lacerations, others lighter areas. But when you look at the abrasions that were noted in this case, they all appear to be the same force, generally the same direction, and the same severity, which would be inconsistent, in my opinion, with being struck at 25 miles an hour.
Generally speaking, you look for consistency in size of an object striking a body and the injury that the body suffers from being struck by the object.
Absolutely. I mean, size is a big.
Size is big. Okay, let me see this part. 345.
The body, the center mass of the body, to be projected.
Objection.
Actually,
Ask it from a physics standpoint, engineering standpoint. Is it reasonable if someone is standing with their arm extended to be hit by a moving vehicle, let's say 25 miles an hour, and the body, the center mass of the body, to be projected?
Objection.
Ask it differently.
so again, this is Joe Paul's theory that the arm was extended. He was just hitting the arm, and he was hit by the car, and somehow that caused the whole body to be projected. Which, you know, if you were behind the car and the car came at you and you put your hands out and you're just in the middle of the car, you would either get run over or it would project you, right? Like that would make sense. But just the side, just the arm, it might knock you down this way to the left a little bit, but it's not going to project you 30 feet, right? Let's see what the actual expert has to say.
Is it consistent in your view with engineering principles and physics principles that you know, if an arm is hit, extended, not the body, just the arm is struck, the body then to be projected?
Objection.
I'll allow that.
It's not, no. So if we have contact, your arm's down, we have contact to the arm. I mean, first of all, it's just a ball and socket joint. So the arm can move independently of the rest of the body. So with enough force, even if you're contracting your arm and trying to hold it out as tight as possible, it's going to overcome that muscular contraction and basically just move the arm. But secondly, it all depends on your center of mass. The center of mass is kind of the equilibrium point of your body of where your weight's distributed. And for most normal people, the center of mass occurs at your umbilicus or your belly button. So wherever your belly button goes, that's where your body's going to move. They teach this to football players, right? If you're a defensive back and a running back comes around the corner and it's you against him, they tell them or they teach them to watch the waist and watch the belly button. It doesn't matter what your head or your arms do or what their feet do. Wherever their belly button goes, that's where they're going to go. So that's what you want to tackle. So even if you had your arm straight out, again, we said it would move because of the joint. But let's assume you had a metal pole sticking out of your arm, out of your body instead of your arm, and that metal pole gets hit. What's going to happen to your body? It's just going to spin around, right? Because it's producing a moment arm, which produces a torque on the body. So your body's going to basically spin. In order to get the body, or the complete body, over, for instance, 10, 20, 30 feet into the yard, you need a force acting at the center of mass. You need an external force pushing the body that way. And that's not going to happen if you just hit the arm. It's not
I mean, it's like, again, how the fuck can they listen to this? It's like did they have to be reminded that, like, by the way, that's what Trooper Paul said happened? That's what the Commonwealth says happened, is that his body projected 30 feet that way. They're not saying he just spinned and fell on the side. They're saying he did a pirouette in midair, like a triple axel, and projected himself 30 feet. Trooper Paul also said that maybe he fell and did a little tumbling the whole time. I don't know. Something. He doesn't know. He's just making it up. The crime scene talked to him.
Enough force. It's not the right mechanism to actually cause the body to somehow move that far over.
Assuming that the body was struck with enough force at center mass to project that body 20, 30 feet, what injuries would you expect to be produced on that body?
Objection.
Sustained.
If you did have a body that was projected a distance, what injuries from a car, what injuries would you expect to see on the body?
Objection.
I'm going to see you at sidebar.
Again.
Last time on this.
Again, with the sidebars.
Yes. Doctor, do you have my question in mind? You need me to repeat it?
Maybe repeat it, yeah.
Easy for you to say. Assuming that a body was struck at center mass with enough force from a vehicle traveling at whatever speed to project the body off the ground, would you expect to find injuries on that body?
You would, and you would actually see that there's specific injuries, because let's say you're standing forward and you get hit on the right side with a vehicle. You're going to get injuries and damage to the right side of the vehicle as that vehicle impacts you. It depends on the profile of the vehicle, how high the hood comes up, whether you're going to wrap up onto the hood, or if it's a van or the back of an SUV, it will project or push your entire body to the left. So you're going to get initial contact and injuries to the right side of your body. And then if it propels you into the air, you're going to get airborne, and then you're going to contact the ground, usually with the left side of your body. So then we're going to see a correlation of injuries to the left side of your body as it slams down onto the ground as well. And at those speeds, normally you would also see more abrasions, greater abrasions or road rash along the entire part of the body, as your body then would slide until it came to the point of rest.
You did not see that.
Objection.
Okay. They have one more? Yes.
Yeah. So you didn't see any of those. So there's that. So let's play. Now Lally gets his crack at it. And he's going to start off with the same shit about, like, well, did you look at, did you actually look at the car? Or did you just see pictures?
From what you reviewed, at any point in time, did you look at a state police reconstruction report?
I don't believe that I did, no, sir.
You weren't provided with that, is that correct?
That's correct. I don't believe so.
You weren't provided with any sort of forensic reports, DNA or anything like that, is that correct?
I don't believe so, no, sir.
And you never actually looked at the physical car, is that correct?
I did not. That's correct.
Are you aware that the physical car, being the defendant's car, is still in law enforcement custody and available for inspection if you had wanted to? Are you aware of that?
I think I'm aware of that, yes, sir.
He's like, that's
you never
nice.
made that request, is that correct?
That was not necessary in this case to inspect the vehicle.
It was necessary or not, you didn't make that request, correct?
I don't remember if we made that request or not. We obviously didn't look at the vehicle, but it wasn't necessary in this case.
Did you ever look at the actual taillight pieces or the taillight housing, is that correct?
Not the actual. We looked at photographs of the evidence, yes.
That's it.
Now, the injuries that you observed,
Okay.
or
Good job,
reviewed
Lowry.
materials in regard to Mr. O'Keefe were primarily on the right side of his body. Is that correct?
Well, sir,
Okay.
on the right arm and the posterior aspect of the right arm, yes. And then the skull fracture was a little bit to the right, the occipital fracture.
All right.
Probable if Mr. O'Keefe was wearing a jacket, correct?
Oh, the
Yes.
jacket, yeah.
Are you aware that Mr. O'Keefe was not wearing a jacket other than a long sleeve sort of hooded shirt?
I believe that came to light afterwards. Again, it doesn't affect my actual opinions in this case, but it was a sentence added in there, yes, sir.
And so also within your report, same paragraph, you indicate blood and DNA transfer would also be highly probable under such circumstances, none of which were reportedly found on the tail lamp assembly or any of the fractured pieces, correct?
Correct.
Are you aware that DNA consistent with that of Mr. O'Keefe was actually found on the tail light housing from the defendant's vehicle?
I'm aware after we wrote or issued the report that it became known to us that I believe DNA was tested and some DNA was found. I believe a small amount. I don't believe any blood evidence was located or found.
I love how he pointed that out. I found out afterwards about the DNA thing, but I don't think there's any blood, right? There's no blood, right? Yeah.
Any pieces, but there was indication of DNA on the taillight housing.
There was also DNA matching Mr. O'Keefe that was found on the exterior of a piece of drinking glass that was found right near his body.
I believe so, yes, sir.
Yeah.
And there was also pieces approximately 1/16 of an inch by 1/16 of an inch of clear and red plastic that was subsequently found to be consistent with the defendant's taillight that was found embedded within Mr. O'Keefe's
What?
shirt.
Like, who cares?
Within the shirt, I believe, yes, sir. Not his actual body.
Not his actual
So
body.
this is all things that you found out after you issued your report in February of 2024, correct?
That's correct, yes, sir.
Remember, he said there would be pieces like literally embedded in his arm if that had actually happened. Okay.
Now, when you were talking about the
How about this?
injuries to the back of the head of Mr. O'Keefe, consistent with coming in contact with a hard surface, correct?
Yes, sir.
Would that hard surface include if the ground was frozen?
If the ground was frozen.
Well, you'd have to perform an analysis actually, because you'd have to determine how hard that ground was. You'd have to look at the freeze and thaw cycle, probably leading up to weeks of that. You can't just look at ground and say, well, it's below freezing, so that ground must be frozen. I mean, is it a possibility? It may be, but you have to go through an actual analysis and procedure to determine.
Like these guys love to be like, well, the ground was frozen. He's like, well, there's actually this is a science behind that too. And I don't think you guys have done any analysis to determine that the ground was physically frozen like an ice skating rink. I don't think you did that.
How hard that ground is and whether it could produce those injuries.
So it is something that's capable of being done by you, is that correct?
Performing that type of an analysis?
He's like, it is capable. So you are capable of creating frozen ground. Why didn't you create frozen ground and test it? What?
You could go through and do it, sure, yeah.
And you didn't do it, correct?
No, I did not do it, no. Because, there's no need in this case. We don't know what happened in this case. There's no indication of, certainly, it's not consistent with getting hit by the car and ending up where he did, even if the ground is somehow hard enough to cause that type of an injury. Again, there's no movement and no force to get his body over there, and the damage with the car is inconsistent with him being struck by it.
Yeah, it's like we didn't change the temperature of the ground because we were hired to determine if it's physically possible for him to even get there, which it wasn't. It wasn't physically possible for him to be hit by a car and launch 30 feet. So it really doesn't fucking matter how hard the ground was because he couldn't have been launched that far.
So whether the ground could cause it or not, the roadway could cause it, the curb could cause it, a back could cause it. There's numerous different possibilities, and we don't really have enough evidence in this case to determine what one specific event actually caused that injury.
You didn't have enough evidence based on what you were provided, isn't that fair to say?
I didn't have enough evidence based on what I was provided, and even looking at the additional evidence that I became aware of after the fact, there's still no evidence. I mean, you can't deny the science and the physics as to what would have happened if he was struck by the vehicle. So anything.
You can't deny the science and the physics. That is the quote of their testimony. The
Past
whole
that
thing.
evidence based on what I was provided, you don't really have enough evidence in this case to determine where after the fact. There's still no evidence. I mean, you can't deny the science and the physics as to what would have happened if he was struck by the vehicle. So anything past that, you have to somehow overcome that hurdle, which is very difficult to do.
You can't deny the science and the physics.
When was it that you looked at this additional material, and who provided it to you?
We were informed after a report was issued that DNA was found. And that was really the primary issue. I believe that some DNA was found on the housing, which, again, there's numerous explanations or ways that DNA can get on a lighthouse.
Yes, thank you.
Let me ask you this, sir. With regard to the materials that you were provided with, was there anything in there that stated that Mr. O'Keefe's skull fracture on the back of his head was caused by contact with the tail?
No, I don't believe there was anything in those materials that stated
Is there
that.
anything in those materials that indicated or that anyone...
Again, no, we're not saying that the head caused the tail. We just tested various hypotheses. All right. Lally tries to give him a setup question here about whether a side swipe would knock you very far. And it doesn't go very well for him.
No, sir. There was no evidence.
See a pedestrian directly. You familiar with what's called the side swipe collision?
Yes, sir, I am.
And am I correct when I say that in a typical pedestrian collision with pedestrian crossing in front of a vehicle, there are a number of different types of interactions as far as a wrap and a forward projection versus a fender ball versus a number of different ways that a pedestrian can interact with the front of a vehicle, correct?
It depends on the position of the pedestrian and certainly the profile of that vehicle and the speed of the vehicle. Yes, sir. There's many different factors involved in it.
And so in a typical pedestrian collision, when a pedestrian is struck by the front of the vehicle, that involves more of an assumption of the velocity of the striking motor vehicle by the pedestrian than you would expect to see in a side swipe collision, correct?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yes, generally speaking, a side swipe means that the person or the pedestrian in the vehicle don't obtain a similar or common velocity. So if you're standing in front of a car and it hits you, it's going to speed you up to that same speed and then disengage. The side swipe means that there's not this mass-to-mass impact. By its very nature, side swipe has minimal forces. We see it even between vehicles that just rub against each other. So if there's a side swipe impact with a pedestrian in a vehicle, there's going to be very little damage to the pedestrian. And similarly, there's going to be very little movement. There's really no force at all acting. You know, for instance, if a car came and swiped by your arm, but didn't have enough force or enough contact to cause any damage, well, it wouldn't actually cause any movement of the person either. So a side swipe by its very nature involves minimal impact, minimal forces, minimal velocities.
He wasn't expecting that one. He's like, no, dude, it's going to be less impact because it's a side swipe. You don't have the same velocity. If you're behind a car and the car hits you at a velocity, it's going to transfer that velocity to you and you're going to go that, you know what I mean? Whereas if it just hits your side, it's not hitting your whole body, bro. This is your theory, not mine.
Also contained with in the reports that you at least co-authored, there's an indication that Mr. O'Keefe's injuries, at least to his skull, the fractures to his skull, are consistent with him.
And this is the gotcha line that he ends with here that the McAlberts love to point out. Like, aha! He said it was possible. Listen to this.
Having been pushed or possibly been impacted by the subject Lexus and fallen backwards, striking his head. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, so that's another possibility. With minimal impact, minimal forces, minimal velocities.
Also contained with in the reports that you at least co-authored, there's an indication that Mr. O'Keefe's injuries, at least to his skull, the fractures to his skull, are consistent with him having been pushed or possibly been impacted by the subject Lexus and fallen backwards, striking his head. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, so that's another possibility.
Sorry, sir, yes or no?
Yeah, yes or no. Yes or no. He loves doing that. Yes or no. So he's like, so you're saying there's a possibility that it could have come from being hit by a Lexus and falling down and hitting your head. He's like, no, stupid. No. What I'm saying is that the injury in the back of the head could come from falling down and hitting your head. There's 1,000,001 things that could make you fall down. Yes. Being hit by a Lexus is one of those things that can make you fall down. But we know that the arm didn't, we've already fucking kind of canceled that one out. It's not a possibility. And Lally's just like trying to trick the jury here and like give the McAlberts like, see, it is possible. That's all this is. And the guy's like, wait, what?
No, let him answer. Let him answer the question.
So if we're saying that there's enough force if you fall backwards to strike your head and cause that skull fracture, well, he could have slipped and struck his head. The car could have backed up and not known that he was there and nudged him and caused him to fall. I mean, any event that would cause him to fall backwards obviously would result in him striking his head. So there's numerous, almost infinite possibility of different scenarios that could result in that type of an event.
Thanks.
Now they know that question is going to be coming next time, and I think I'll have a different answer for that. But, well, no. In this case, no, it couldn't have done that. So, yeah, it's just like, I don't know. When you go back and you listen to the ARCCA testimony, it's just like, I think there's ways to improve that. I do. You got to get the FBI shit in there. And that last question, you got to make it clear to them. Like, yeah, also the boogeyman could have come and pushed him over too. But I don't think the boogeyman is real. So I think we can get rid of that one. Just like we can get rid of the car. The car clearly didn't do it. We've already gotten rid of that one. So that's clearly not what caused the injuries to the back of the head. Some sort of fall did, certainly. That's definitely a possibility. You know, or like getting beaten up inside the house. That's a possibility too. By the way, I got the Penn State game on now. They need 43 more yards for a touchdown. But all right, cool. Why don't we read some cash apps here and some turtle chats and call it a night, shall we? Okay. All right. Kirsten sends, oh, did he catch it? On 2nd and 1? What the fuck? 2nd and 1. This is why Penn State's Penn State. 2nd and 1, they chuck it deep. Dude, get a fucking first down. What are you doing? Doesn't the clock stop in college football? What are you doing? You deserve to lose. Notre Dame, number 2. They're a one-loss team. By the way, who's winning the Clemson game? Can we get it? Hold on. I need a score in a Clemson game. Now, NCAA football scores. Clemson is SMU is driving. Well done. 31-24 Clemson. 20 seconds left in the fourth quarter. And SMU, where do they have the ball? 3rd and 6 at the Clemson 12. Wow, that's a game. I'll tell you one thing, man. Whew. Clemson wins that game, then they're in the playoff. And Arizona State's going to get a first round bye in that case. And Clemson will probably be the 12 seed. Notre Dame, at this point, you would have to think it's like they have to be the 5 seed, right? Like they have to be above Texas. Texas has 2 losses. They have to be above, I don't care if they're both Georgia. It has to be above Penn State. They have 2 losses now, right? Like Notre Dame's the number 2 team in the country now. Like period, end of story. Oregon's 1, Notre Dame's 2. That should be the national championship right there. Boom, done. Yeah, I saw they picked off the fucking ball. How do you not run the ball there? 2nd and 1. You got 2 minutes left and you're chucking it deep. What the fuck? I know my Penn State Turtle Riders out there must just be like, what the fuck was that play call? Jesus Christ. Okay, anyway, back to this. SMU touchdown? Oh, go Mustangs. Did they just score? Did they really just score? They did. No, or did they? I don't know. Let me know about that one too. It's fucking wild, college football. Okay. All right. All right. So Kirsten sends $100. Woo! Thank you, Kirsten. And she says, it's my birthday. Happy birthday, Kirsten. You're the best. And she says, missed an opportunity to pay it forward tonight and pay for a service member's dinner. Couldn't think of a better cause than this. Wow, that's very thoughtful of you. And it's your birthday too? Thank you, Kirsten. It says, free Turtleboy and free Karen Reed. Love from Wisconsin. My cheeseheads out there. My cheesehead Turtle Riders. Sorry about the loss on Thursday night. You know, the Lion fans in the chat aren't going to be so sorry about that. But, you know, thank you very much and hope you had a great birthday there, Kirsten. Yes, SMU did score. So that's not done yet. Alabama fans don't want to see that SMU win. That will be a nightmare for them. Okay, next up. We have Christy sends $20 and says, so no, I don't think the small court was a bad idea because I couldn't get in because the jury had to stare at the O'Keefe's fake crying. Right. And the McAlberts could look directly at them and lie. Right. When is Karen's next court date, please? So Karen's next court date is on December 12th. I believe it is a 9 a.m. hearing. So let's get there early, people. Let's be there. You know, the Smurfs are talking about showing up, and that's fine. We are going to outnumber them. We need boots on the ground. That's what we need there. Boots on the ground. We need you, Rita. Get your ass out there. We've had a couple weeks to get over this fucking dinner thing. We need boots on the ground back out there. Thursday, let's be there. Be there or be square. I'll be there. I'll tell you that much. I wouldn't miss it for the world. I don't miss these dates. I missed enough of these in jail. I won't miss them ever again. So thank you very much, Christy. And you're right, though. You know, that is a good point about the fact that the O'Keefe's got to just, and then McAlbert's got to stare down the jury was a problem. Like, why did they get those seats and not Karen's family? Like, you know, whatever. My next court hearing is on the 17th. I got one with the fake victim in Dedham across the street at the district court, and then the big dog house at 3:00 in Norfolk Superior. Okay. Next up, A-Rod sends $10 and goes, will Hank tell the jury Karen Reed told Gretchen Voss Steve Scanlon went to Yannetti's office in 48 hours? Huh? Will he tell the jury Scanlon knew the injuries before anyone else did? I'm sure that's in her notes that he wants. I know. I wonder, I bet you there's just a bunch of shit in there about the feds that she was like, yeah, I can't tell you about the federal government or whatever, but we're talking to the, who knows? I think that's what they really want to know. That's what Hank really wants to know. So thank you very much for that. Colm sends $10, goes, P. Kearney wrote the Irish national anthem. When this is over, you should visit Ireland, maybe even as a speaking guest. Can help pay for your stay. When this is all over, hopefully you will do a world tour. I know. I could use a world tour after this. I could use a world tour. And definitely want to get over there. A lot of maybe, England, Australia, who knows? Well, I don't know where else Turtle Riders are, but I appreciate that. All right. Cash apps here. Got some cash apps. We got Jody sends $20 and says, the Commonwealth has no case. Round 2, there will be no mercy. You got that right, Jody. I appreciate that. Melanie has $5 and says, Doctor, can you show the Phelps hair pic I sent you? Oh, yeah. I got that somewhere. Somebody did like, I forget what I did with it. I thought I had it. Send it again on Facebook if you can, and I'll try to share it. But thank you very much for the Cash App. I'd have to go find it. Thank you, Melanie. Auntie Chrissy sends $5 and goes, vaginitis. Ha, ha, ha. Well, thank you very much, Auntie Chrissy. Let's see. Melanie sends $5 and says, saying I hit him 3 times in a row sounds ridiculous, right? Yeah, it sounds, especially when not a single cop put that in their report, and the only person who said that was Katie McLaughlin when she was handpicked by Kevin Albert the day afterwards to meet with Michael Proctor. Yeah. Denise sends $5 and says, shout out Charlton Dudley cheer placing at Nationals. Charlton Dudley, that's my old stomping ground. I was a teacher at Shepherd Hill. They do have great cheerleading out there in Dudley Charlton. So thank you and congratulations. Okay. I miss anyone else with the Cash Apps? No, let me just check the Turtle chats. Okay, no. All right. Anyone else got anything before we call it a night? Let's see. She won't be overlooked ever again. Who? That's what I'm saying, man. Fix that fucking courtroom. How hard is that? Can you tell the class about how you made JLR your bitch after neutering and emasculating him and sitting in the cuck chair after he was sent by degenerates to troll you? Yeah, he tried. I mean, it's all on video. I did make him my bitch. He thought he could show up here, just be outrageous and just yell at me. And I'm going to be like, leave me alone, sir. Leave me alone. And I was just like, prison boy. And I just fucking own JLR. Fucking own him. Jonathan Lee Riches. What's that your name? Whatever your name is. Come back. Just come back. I want to fuck with you some more. I'm not done playing with my food. You need to come back here, boy. Get your ass back here. You showed up once for like jury selection. Get your ass back here because I'm not done with your ass. Get it back here. All right. All right. Anyway, Clemson won. They did win. Holy shit. In regulation too. Holy fuck. Wow. SMU. It's going to be SMU or Bama for that last spot. Ooh, can't believe Clemson's in with 3 losses in the ACC. What a garbage conference that is, huh? Just garbage. Putrid. All right. Next up. I don't know. Let's see. Why are you charged with witness intimidation when none of those bitches saw a thing? Exactly. Brian Walsh misses Elsie the barber. His hair looked like shit. Did it? I think Brian Walsh looks better now than he did before. Like when he was first arrested, he looked like shit when he was a free man. I think he looks horrible now. But yeah, I mean, this is going to be, I mean, we're coming up on the 1-year anniversary, and my incarceration's coming up, man. Never again. Never again, folks. I'm good. All right, cool. All right, guys. Well, I am going to call it a night then because it's getting a little bit late. But I love all you fine people. I love the wooded background here. Thanks for taking me seriously as a serious, investigative, podcasting, crime-solving genius. And we will see you guys all. We'll see some of you guys at the event tomorrow in Taunton at the Star Drive-In. We'll see others on... I'll be there Monday in Stoughton for the Rubber Ducky Kingpin's motion to dismiss. That's going to be a good one. I'm going to be there for Rich's motion to dismiss that day with Tim Bradle. And then on Tuesday, we got the live show. It's back. All right. Karen Reed hearing on Thursday. Let's go. Peace, Turtle Riders.